The new meta game helps me a lot because I love playing the bruiser or tanky types.
Yeah, right now it's bruisers and tanks because of the defense. Jeez, are so strong.
We are carrying a bit more than before, and we're playing like bruiser and this kind of champion.
There's a lot of strong champions, but they're being banned out quite often, and I don't feel that top lane has quite as much influence as before.
It's quite interesting for me because it's a bit different.
It's less proxy farming and more sort of roaming and helping your teammates. That's how you get an advantage from top lane, I think.
My champion pool got changed a lot. You cannot really play any AP top lane right now because you don't have enough damage.
Well, in this meta I didn't really have to pick up a new champion because I was already known for playing bruisers like Renekton.
I'm currently using Riven more often top. I really like it. It's just super fun to play her.
I think one thing that rose in the meta is Malphite. Like, he was still in the old meta, but right now I think he's really good with AD. And I think he's incredibly strong with that.
Wow, there's Shyvana, Mundo, Renekton is up there. The sustain champions and Shyvana mostly.
So it's right now pretty cool for me. I like to swap it around a bit, so I have a bit more fun and I enjoy it more.
Yeah, I love it. In the early game you get a lot of room for plays, and in the later games you get to just dive in and go balls to the walls.
Hello again. We are joined by Amazing after that win versus Millennium. Great job. And I want to ask you straight off the bat that you guys were going for that lane swap, 2 guys in the top lane, despite the changes. So why did you go for that in this case?
Well, we don't consider Millennium a coordinated team. So we just swapped into top to have some coordination from our side, and they had to answer it, and they didn't really do that. Like Shen had a decent farm, but got outfarmed by Renekton. I outfarmed Pantheon by a landslide, and I was far ahead of him, especially in XP. So that was our thought process behind it. We just forced coordination out of them.
So despite the 4.1 changes, obviously the big buffs in the top tower, the bottom tower, we were expecting the bottom tower to want to go down first, but instead you obviously went down and helped out your top laner considerably, or bottom laner as this was the case. Was it all in the plan? You just like, despite the buffs, despite the changes, you still felt comfortable taking that top tower first?
Well, we have a really good bot lane in terms of tower pushing. Like, Forgiven has always been one of the best tower pushes that has seen the game yet. I don't know. And therefore, we really feel confident in lane swaps since mostly we have good coordination when we do it. So, yeah, the comfort was on our side.
Yeah, so you focus on that bottom lane, and maybe some people thought that you would focus on that mid lane because we've heard that Talon can be a counter to that Kassadin if he gets going, but you guys didn't seem to think so.
Can be a counter, but he needs some jungle pressure, like from level 1 to 6. If he doesn't get a kill onto Kassadin, or maybe even 2, he won't be able to shut him down ever. So we don't really, we didn't really think about that matchup too much, and I think that counter was also comfortable in it.
And it seemed to me that one of the big turning points in the fights was when, for some reason, Kirk just went channeled completely for Unlimited, way back. Used everything on him, used his ultimate on. You guys all powered forward. Were you just expecting him to go for that? And I mean, you talked about how you knew they were uncoordinated. It just seemed they didn't know really where to focus.
I did not even know that Talon was going in. Like, I didn't expect it. I just saw him dying, like, suddenly. I don't know, like, the uncoordination basically showed there. I don't know. Maybe it's just Kerb having a bad day or something like that. But I don't know, like, that just seemed really off.
And following up on that, obviously, there was a point where Aranea did the man drop, as it's now known, the drop onto you guys. He actually jumped onto you on the tower when Unlimited and Forgiven were in range. He didn't go for them. Were you surprised by this? I mean, you were on the tower doing the basic attacks, and he jumped on you instead of going for the AD carry.
Maybe he likes me, I don't know.
What I also wanted to ask you about in relation to those picks and the Pantheon on the other side, is there a time during the game where you look at the items and you realize, whoa, I am incredibly tanky right now, and Aranea just isn't at all? And what does that make you do if you see that?
Well, we actually, prior to this game, we watched the replays, and we always saw Aranea getting behind in his builds for some reason. He has some odd early game-ish builds where he rushes Ninja Tabby or something like that, which I don't really understand, but that's not my issue. I'm just trying to farm up, and then at some point I just see, like, I have a, what did I have? Ancient Golem or something like that,
Sunfire
and a Randuin's and a Sunfire. Well, I knew that I could go into every team fight and probably get out again, which is something that Aranea couldn't provide for his team.
And of course, you're now 3-2 in the LCS. You're playing Alliance again tomorrow. You've already got one victory over them. How are you expecting it to go now they've picked up their first victory this morning?
I expect a win on our side, but I don't want to corner myself. So I'll just see what happens and take the game as it is.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. Confidence coming out here from Amazing after that win versus Millennium. And now let's send it back over to Joe and the Fisho for the next match.
Thanks a lot, Shocks. And before we get into our next game, I just want to remind you that immediately after tonight's LCS games, the Challenger Series continues with Ninjas in Pajamas versus SK Gaming Prime. But first, we've got Gambit versus SK Gaming. Now, Gambit are currently 3-for-1 after week 1. They picked up wins versus the Wolves, Millennium, and Super Hot Crew, and their single loss was only in that opening match of the season against Fnatic.
And I think we can agree, losing to Fnatic is not exactly making you a bad team.
No.
So Gambit overall has been looking in team fights like one of the strongest teams in Europe. Every time they get off the laning phase, they want to try and force an objective. Could be the Dragon, normally between like the 18-20 minute mark, and then they take the team fight there. If they win it, they will just keep rolling over you. If they lose it, they're going to try and come back and then be ready for the next fight.
And that's the great thing about Gambit as well that we've seen from them. They can close out games seemingly faster than everyone else. Their average win is 5 minutes faster than your average length of an LCS game. I mean, that's an incredible statistic to have. I mean, they show that once they've got the lead, they can really use it well.
But that's the thing. If you're ahead and you're so good at team fighting, what can the other team actually do? They have to try maybe split push on you or catch you out. But Gambit is such an experienced team, and with the way they're playing right now, once they get the lead, you're not going to get it back.
Well, maybe one of the areas that you can stop that happening is if you focus on the bottom lane. So far, if you look at that bottom lane from Gambit, it's been statistically pretty weak.
It's not been looking too good. It could be because of Edward, who's been sick. We don't actually know how he feels today. But if we look at everything for them, the average CS for Genja after 10 minutes is 67. That is the lowest among all 80 carries in Europe. And at the same time, the bot lane gives up first blood in 3 out of the 4 games they played. This signals at least some issues. I don't know, it's not the champion picks they have, because that's all. They're fine. The Kennen pick was fine as well. But it's generally just the way they play. Maybe they're a bit too aggressive, or maybe they're not too in sync yet.
And that's the thing that this patch maybe will lend to other teams playing against Gambit, that we are going to be seeing more 2 versus 2 action. And if they're struggling in that one, well, that could catch them out. One thing, though, that's for me really good to look at Gambit is the fact that they pick around the meta. They're not sticking to your standard champions.
Yeah, I really like that as well. And it makes it so hard to prepare a game plan versus Gambit, because you never know what they're going to pick up. We see Darien starting with the whole Warwick trend last week as the first one pretty much in LCS. Nobody expected that. No. Nobody had a plan against it. Nobody knew exactly what he would do. At the same time, the Kennen support, and Edward has already said he has more supports ready. I'm not sure what it's going to be, maybe LeBlanc or something. I'm just hoping he's going to pick something really cool. But all in all, when you're against a team like Gambit, or a team like Rocket, for instance, as well, we never know what they're going to play. You can't really prepare too much.
Well, Mordekaiser, we'll just say that. Just one word needs to be said, really. Their opponents in this one, SK Gaming, had a bit of a struggle at the start of the season, going 2 for 2 in our first week, recording wins against the Copenhagen Wolves and Super Hot Crew, but losing out to Fnatic and what have now proven to be a hit-and-miss Millennium team. Now, how can we, kind of use those results to talk about SK Gaming here? Because there are a couple of wins against maybe what you say are the weaker teams, but also they've lost to the likes of Millennium, who've themselves not looked so amazing.
Well, SK as a team has the issue right now that the early game is not good enough. It mainly boils down to the bot lane having issues. They often fall behind, give up a few kills, which then lead to the enemy team picking up the Dragon and then setting the whole team behind. The solo laners of SK Gaming are doing just fine. This might also be because Svenskeren is putting a lot of focus on helping them with a lot of early game aggressive junglers, and every time he actually managed to do something, especially towards Freddy, he will pretty much carry the game, or try to carry the game.
I want to talk about Jesus in the mid lanes. He's got some really impressive stats behind him. Now, he's relied on, very poke-heavy, wave-clearing, safer mid-lane picks, you might call him in there. He also has the record currently for the highest CS in one game versus Millennium. It was a pretty long game on a champion that can farm well, but at the same time, those kind of statistics are what can bring SK back from the verge of a loss to challenging for a win again.
Exactly, like the way Jesus is playing and the champions he plays, It means that SK can often delay the game. If they are too far behind to team fight, they can just wave clear, wave clear, wave clear, and at some point they're going to get the items they need. We saw it versus Millennium. They were too far behind though to actually do too much with it, but at least they kept extending the game over and over, and this is what Jez is really good at. He's a great farmer, especially in the early game where he's actually one of the best in Europe.
Yeah, I think actually statistically the second best up until 10 minutes at this point. So certainly got that early game farm locked down. Let's check out, though, the two starting teams, kicking it off with Gambit on the blue side. And most of them don't really need any introduction by now. But we are, of course, with Darian in the top lane, Diamond Prox in the jungle, Alexich in the mid lane, and the duo of Genja and Edward.
And on the red side, we have SK Gaming with Freddy in the top lane, Svensson in the jungle, Jez is in the mid lane, Candy Panda as the AD carry, and Enrated on support.
And this game's battle in the top lane is going to be our featured matchup of the day. Dr. Darian versus Freddy122.
I mean, Dr. Darian has impressed me. I talked about it before the whole day started. He's been playing fantastic, and he's putting so much pressure. Like, the whole meta for him is just perfect. He can split push, he can go into team fight as this big tank, and he can play Warwick. He pulls it out, and it works for Gambit because they like these fights in the mid to late game, where Warwick is very strong at singling out a target, and then everyone can pile on this one and shut it down. So all in all for Darian right here, very impressive performance.
And it shows the change, since Worlds, that Darian has really stepped up his game, or maybe the game has kind of stepped up to Darian's level. We could say that as well, because he does, as you said, fit into the meta game perfectly. One thing that really shows that for me is the fact that he's actually beating a lot of people on KDA, which is not something we used to see him from Darian.
Oh, that is completely new for Darian. He used to just die pretty much 5, 6, 7 times in every game, but right now, due to him having so many picks to choose from as well. He can play Renekton, he can play Shyvana, he can play Warwick. He might even have prepared a Trundle or something completely different. It's going to be very exciting to see.
Well, if there's one person that's a troll, it might just be Darian to pull that one out today. His opposite number, though, Freddy122. Now, he's been incredibly important for SK in the comebacks that they've had in their games, because we said it earlier that they've had a few games where they've got off to a sluggish start, where they've been behind, and a couple of occasions managed to pull it back. A couple of occasions they've been too far behind to do anything with it, but when they have been able to pull it back, Freddy's been important in that front.
He's been like pretty much the most important member. He played Shyvana in 3 out of his 4 games, and he had a big impact in every single game. When they're behind, they had him split pushing and just constantly, making pressure on the map and trying to take down turrets. Now Shyvana's nerfed though. Question is, will SK try and change up the tactic and put him on more, teamfight-based top laners, or will they, keep playing the Shyvana and then hope it works for them?
Well, we're going to find out. We're into champion select here, and are we going to see a Warwick ban possibly? Darian had a big old celebration about that one last week when he pulled that ban out. First one out the bag, though, will be Elise, and we said it already, Svensson, aggressive, in-your-face, early game strength junglers, is what he maybe needs to carry SK forward.
Exactly, and at the same time, Lee Sin will be open. We know Gambit loves to play Lee Sin, and if they can first pick him, if there's nothing else up, it's perfect for Gambit. So I like the Elise band at first, and maybe an Evelyn band. Both junglers actually played.
However, we should mention that Evelyn has been hit in this patch as well. The missile speed, the E being changed from magic damage to physical damage.
Never mind the Evelyn part, we're not going to see her.
I was just rationalizing it for you. But Evelyn, who knows? Maybe not, is what we're thinking. Kayle, on the other hand, banned out here by Gambit. Now, Jesus, up until now, not played the Kayle. On the other side, we did see Alex running the Kayle against Super Hot Crew, where he ended up 9-3-9. And again, Kayle, one of those where you can get to late game and smash not just champions, but turrets, inhibitors, and nexuses really, really quickly. On the other hand, we did see Vi taken away as well here from Gambit, which now has not been Diamond's go-to jungler here, really. He has preferred that Lee Sin pick.
But Vi in the new patch with the new jungle items, where she gets more mana back, it's 4% after every camp, is so strong for her, and she can pretty much just rotate around the jungle, clear every camp really, really fast, and get a lot of farm from that. She couldn't really do that before due to her mana issues, so that's why she's such a contested pick right now and actually being banned away.
And we saw Kassadin pulled out of this one, and this is the Kassadin that Jesus actually used against Super Hot Crew for the victory last time. He finished 7-0-11 on Kassadin, and there is that Lee Sin ban. And look at the smile on Darian's face there, hands in pockets. What do I pick as first? He's just toying with us now.
Oh, he is, definitely. I don't think he's going to first pick the Warwick. The crowd were yelling for it though, so that's why he's actually on it now.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to be locked in as the first pick this time around, but the likes of Mundo is open here, and we know that Freddy, if he doesn't end up going Shyvana, which, 4 out of 5 Shyvana games, 3 out of 4 Shyvana games so far, and Renekton, both of those champions you'd expect to feature in here.
Yeah, but I think maybe Gambit is thinking about taking a jungler, because they're already 3 jungle bans. If there's something they can take away from SK here, they might want to go for it. Or there's obviously the Dr. Mundo.
Or the Mundo, which when I said both champions, I actually was more thinking along the Mundo lines rather than the change Shyvana at this point, and that will be the Mundo locked in then for Gambit, for Darian in that top lane. No Warwick this time around, and I don't think he really minds too much. This still is very much a Darian-style champion.
This is like, go wherever you want,
yeah.
Whenever you're like, get into the mid lane game and you're so tanky they can't kill you, just run in the face of them all the time. Darian loves this. SK now on the other hand, what are they going to pick versus Dr. Mundo? Renekton is not a very strong pick versus him. You have like the pressure early game, but Dr. Mundo will outscale you so hard. Shyvana was the go-to pick before. With the nerfs, will they actually still go for her?
Is it still safe enough against this Mundo in that lane, and what else Gambit can obviously throw up to that one? Freddy has, as you said, played the Renekton, but that might not be the ideal choice for him. Will they even think about locking in the bottom lane at this point with everything left on the board?
This Tristana pick right here, don't be too sure that his AD carry Tristana. I mean, at bot lane Tristana. This could potentially be 1v1 top lane Tristana on Freddy. You have healing reduction for Dr. Mundo, and you have a lot of early game pressure on him because of your range. You can just poke him out and you can free farm. I love this pickup if they do go top with it.
And your range is only getting bigger as well. That's even the beauty of that one. As Darian starts to scale up on that one, you just stand further away and are able to continue to hammer away. But the Blitzcrank for unrated as well, we should really touch on that one because an old favorite of his.
I mean, the old favorite of unrated, bit weird to blind pick it like this. I mean, we have no idea what Gambit is going to play. He's obviously not going to be able to hook in Dr. Mundo. That would give absolutely no reason for us. So, bit surprised they do pick it right now, but I think SK just wants to see what Gambit is playing and then counter pick it, or they expected Edward to play it.
Well, let's see, because unsurprising to see Edward go somewhere like Thresh. You have a couple of hooks in there, but the Kennen locked in. Now, this is again a few weeks ago, you might say, all right, that's a Kennen for Alex here, surely, but the fact that Edward has now played Kennen in the support role, and the fact that he could still go into the mid lane, although you just wouldn't expect it at this point, will be paired in with the Jinx either way, is what we know.
Yeah, and if it is Kennen support, he's going to have a lot of early game, poke towards the Blitzcrank. Blitzcrank has to hook him in to actually do something, but Kennen has a lot of good early game poke, he has the stuns and everything, and if he should get pulled in at around level 6, he can just instantly ultimate and they can try and take down the Blitzcrank. You would see Israel actually being locked in, so that means Tristana top or mid lane.
Tristana top or mid lane, but we were thinking about this one before we came into this week, and that Tristana coming up here, that was a good call, Officio. You pretty much nailed that one. Amumu as well, going to be locked in. We talked a little bit about him earlier on in the show, that with the change to those jungle items, that he can sustain a lot better now in the jungle.
Yeah, Amumu can basically just stay in the jungle and just keep farming. He will not run out of mana, even though he uses all his abilities to clear. So he's actually having very fast clear speed. This will mean if the lanes from SK Gaming can survive by themselves, Amumu can just farm, and once you get to the first team fight, around the 18-20 minute mark, you should actually be fairly strong, and this could signal for SK that they can actually win the first fight.
Well, did they ban Kayle here because Alex wants to go Zed?
Yeah, that is a chance. It could also be because you want to go LeBlanc, but generally, I think we've just realized right now how strong Kayle is, and you want to take her out.
Well, Zed or LeBlanc, but the look on Genja's face there tells me they didn't want maybe to have that LeBlanc in there.
Yeah, I don't think that was the reason. Wait, so this has to be now a set jungle with LeBlanc mid. But yeah, I don't think it actually was the plan.
I don't think it was a plan either. Just looking at how Genja reacted to that one, I think they left it a little bit too late in terms of the selection, so there's going to be a few switcheroos going on in Gambit, and they've got Jinx, so that fits perfectly. On the other side here for SK Gaming though, we've got a top lane. Tristana is what we're pretty much set with at this point. The Blitzcrank and Ezreal lane, Amumu for the jungle. Who are they going to go with now in that mid lane? And, well, we could have maybe guessed it from what Jesus has played so far. Poke heavy, safer in the lane, good escape. It's going to be Nidalee this time around.
Now, the SK lineup is kind of weird. You have like hard engage, you have the pull, and then you have your poke with Nidalee. If they go in too early without landing any spears or any poke from Candy Panda, they're not going to do much in a team fight. At the same time, they need Amumu to be very tanky, because he's the only real tank right here. If he dies instantly, the whole backline of SK is very squishy. They don't have any CC to bring except for the knock-up from Blitzcrank. This again talking with if Amumu is dead. So Gambit will be able to pretty much roll over them. I would be very happy to see though if Diamond does the same as Svensson with his jungle set and simply just farms, and we don't pretty much see anything early game, and then we see two junglers coming out very strong and maybe be able to carry the games.
Well, we've got two very mobile teams as well on the other side of things, so this game hoping is going to be a lot of fun. Certainly some interesting picks for us, and as we get underway, let's check out the voting results to see where you guys cast your ballot, and it's a big number, I'm afraid, if you're an SK fan. 89% of you voting here for Gambit.
I mean, looking at the lineups, yes, there was maybe the wrong pick from Gambit, but the SK one, I have a hard time seeing it work unless they do everything right. I mean, they have to land the right poke and then engage it. Just with like when they have enough poke, they just need to land a hook or the bandage touch from Amumu. If they miss any of these skill shots, they don't really have any engage and they can't start a fight, and Gambit can just run away and then heal and come back.
What do we think to jungle Zed here? Because, funnily enough, you played it in a game the other day that I was watching of you. How strong is it? I mean, it's Diamond running a jungle, whatever. So it's obviously got potential if they meant to lock it in the end. But talk to us what you think about that one.
It's strong if you get like a very good start. If you're able to farm, get an early kill or two, then you can actually start going into more mid lane set-ish damage. But if you fall behind with jungle set, you're going to be so useless and not be able to kill anyone.
Well, here we go then. It's Gambit versus SK Gaming. Our fourth game of the day here in week 2 of the European LCS. And who knows what this game is going to throw our way. I'm certainly excited to see the likes of N-Rated on Blitzcrank here. We've got Zed for Diamond Procs in the jungle. We've got LeBlanc for Alex Ich. So many great things to see, and that's without even mentioning Freddy122. We say, you know, he loves these tanky top laners playing Tristana.
I mean, this champ select itself has been so many different picks. Nobody could really predict any of this. A bit surprised SK, or not surprised actually, but SK has the Blitzcrank. They could do the level 1 invade, but due to the fact they have like Nidalee and Amumu who brings absolutely nothing for a level 1 fight, they don't really decide to go for anything. Maybe we might see them try a late invade or a deep ward, but I don't expect it.
Well, Svensson could be forced into bandage toss and the spears could come out from Jesus, but and something tells them they're not going to risk anything here, SK. They've got what I'd say is pretty much an experimental team comp, and certainly some experimental positions. We'll see how the whole damage or healing reduction from Tristana works out against Darian's Dr. Mundo. Alex, what are you doing? Well, he kind of baited that one in, but he's also baited out his own flash there.
Very nice position by N-Rated. David must have predicted Alex always goes in there to ward, so he was waiting for him with the Blitzcrank. We see 2v1 coming in though versus Tristana. I'm very excited to see how that's actually going to work out.
Well, we'll see in a second. SK here starting off by their blue buff with Svenska and getting help for Candy Panda. Mistimed his Q a little bit there for that one. That won't matter too much though, as we see Gambit get underway here with the red buff for Diamond. And they're keeping hidden here, Gambit, for as long as they can in this top lane.
Yeah, so Freddy, now he spots Edward, so he knows it's a 2v1. If they can manage to zone him away so he doesn't really get any CS, he's going to have a long time till the late game point where Tristana really is strong, and it's going to make the first few teamfights for Gambit a lot easier. So I like this lane swap actually.
And we'll see how Darian can hold up in this 2v1 lane. Funnily enough, when we saw the swaps earlier on in our last game, it was the top tower that went down first because of some different positional plays and what have you. Diamond actually going up to blue. We can see that Darian already taking big hits.
Yeah, and another smart part from Gambit on this is Blitzcrank cannot push turret at all. I mean, if he goes into melee range and Diamond is there, they can punish him instantly. So SK is going to have a hard time pushing the turret, especially if Diamond is there. And if Diamond is there, he can also pick up more farm. He might though go for a very easy dive on a very squishy Tristana in top lane.
And we can see that they weren't really pushing that lane now, making sure that only the last hits come in there from SK. Freddy, 0 CS right now, as is Darian down the bottom. But we first start to see our first roaming Zed play here on Diamond, something that, of course, he loves to do on other champions. He's up on the top side of Jesus, who's actually going to get chained up here. The stun will come down, and they're going to dive straight in onto him, and there's the barrier used.
Wow. Nice damage coming out of Gambit right here. The barrier saves Jesus, or at least saves him from not flashing. This does mean, though, they can actually push the bot tower from SK, but they will just push the mid tower instead for Gambit.
That almost felt as though that was a surprise, or Jesus thought that was just didn't expect Diamond to be there, because he literally just walked away from that one, the chains going off. In the end, obviously only using his barrier, not using the flashes. Darian gets pulled out. He flashes straight back under his tower. Meanwhile, Jesus here being pushed down by Diamond, but again, not quite enough damage to finish him off. But that turret, about half of its damage, of its health gone already.
Yeah, I mean, Diamond is completely ignoring the solo laners right here. I mean, the side lanes. He's just going full in for Jesus. They force the flash, they force the barrier. When Alex hits level 6, he will be able to pick up a kill on Jesus alone.
Good few flashes down across the board, just as we were saying that Jesus had saved his. He has to use it in the end. Darian, of course, has used his down on this bottom lane as well. We should mention at this point that he does have that teleport in there, so we could see Darian getting involved elsewhere should he be called in.
Right now, though, Freddy's pretty happy just farming away. He didn't get dived, and 2v1, Gambit cannot dive him alone. So for him right now, he can just pick up some CS, pick up some experience, and actually in a pretty fine spot.
Yeah, not taking too much damage from the poke there of Edward if he, actually lands. See Jesus finally getting back into lane. He's picked up double Doran's blades here as he just tries to pick off those minions off to the side to keep himself as close as possible here in this CS. And without that flash, without that barrier, he knows that he's going to have to be super careful here in this mid lane.
And a big issue for him right now is that the lane is pushing towards Alex. So Alex will just keep zoning him away from CS, and the only thing he can do is try and land a spear and then pick up the CS that way.
Now that bottom lane, or the top lane now as it is, obviously, with Svenskeren moving into that one. Edward and Genja not pushed up too far on this one, just making sure that they don't push that wave too quickly out there. Genja just getting his last hits in. He's slightly ahead here of Candy Panda in those 2v1s in terms of the CS, and actually Svenskeren showing himself there in the top lane. Diamond, though, may make a visit to middle, but we can see Jesus' position, trying to play it as safe as possible.
This will be a very risky dive if they do go for it. I think more he just wanted to counter jungle because he knew Amumu was top lane at this point. He can maybe try and go down bot lane, but they won't actually be able to kill them 2v2.
Oh, we can see that bot lane is taking a lot of damage here from Candy Panda as well. Stood right on top of that turret. He's got a good wave of minions here, and with this one may be enough just to take that one down. Actually, Darian just clearing out as best as he can. He's currently 4 CS above that total that Freddy has at 20-16. The ward's coming in behind him. That's definitely a wise choice there to stop to stop Diamond coming in.
Yeah, Diamond might move down here, but again, he won't really be able to do anything. And he actually just says, never mind, I know I can't do anything, I don't have a red buff, and I'm not level 6, so my damage is pretty limited.
Actually coming over the wall from this one. Will he try and get in there? Didn't actually spot him coming down from that one because of the position of the ward, but see that Gambit finally going in towards his top.
Wow.
Sorry, Genja actually going to get caught out there by Svenskeren's ultimate, forced to flash in the end and use his barriers to not go down.
Yeah, Gambit wanted to just force down this turret, but Svenskeren said, nope, not gonna happen right here, I'm gonna try and kill you. And again, flash is gone. When he returns, if he returns down to a 2v2, there's a Blitzcrank hook, might potentially actually cost him his life.
Now, again, we slow things down. Gambit holding a 400 gold lead at this point of the game. That's definitely not a lot, but with Diamond here waiting on his red buff, done a lot of counter jungling up till now. 31-27 CS, not a massive lead that he has still at this point, but we get into the dragon kind of territory here for Gambit, and I'm sure as once they take down that top turret, which they almost did during that last push, that they'll start moving towards bottom and thinking about dragon.
Yeah, but SK right now has the chance, when they take down this turret, to actually go for an early dragon. But due to Jesus being behind in the mid lane, I actually don't think they will do it. It's going to be a bit too risky, and Alex will have a lot of damage if they do go for the fight.
He's not been back to buy yet. The single Doran's ring that he's currently sat on. We can see that Freddy's having to walk back off to do the golems, which are honestly almost taking him down at this point of things. Obviously, he's sat at level 5. Double Doran's blade that he has currently, and Gambit start their invade over towards the red buff, both the duo lane and Diamond in there for that one.
Very smart move by Gambit right here. If they take down the top turret, they can go straight into the red afterwards. If Svensson is there, they can try and kill him. If not, they just take a free red buff and then go down to the bot lane. If they do give it to Jinx and he goes down into the 2v2 lane, big advantage for them.
Big advantage, that turret holding on by a thread. Yeah, 8 minutes and 20 seconds in the game. We can see with that tower going to SK that the gold has normalized here, and Jesus has started to move towards the dragon. In fact, the entire team right now from SK has moved towards the dragon. Only Darian and maybe Alex in range to do anything about this one.
And this is pretty much what you get when you delay killing the top turret for so long. It was just, SK was like, okay, they keep delaying. Never mind this, we're just going to go straight for dragon and just take it for people. Smart move by them, and Gambit didn't even try and move for it.
However, that red buff that we were talking about is already being invaded upon by Gambit. Will they send Jesus up to try and defend Svensson here in this one? No, they won't. That red buff is going to be picked up by Genja, and they just simply walk on out of the jungle, leaving one small lizard behind just to cause a bit of annoyance for Svensson when he goes around.
Now, will Gambit swap down to the bot lane, or will they just stay top? Because there's nothing for them really to go bot for. The dragon is already dead, so it doesn't really matter which lane they're in. It's going to be a bit funny to see how they think of this. If they want to try and force down the bot turret, it has no armor, nothing, so they can actually do it with Diamond coming down and maybe forcing a dive or something.
No, Darian, as we've seen that bottom lane, 46 to the 35 CS of Freddy. If we compare the two players from our featured matchup earlier on, got that Giant's belt in there right now as Diamond starts to stalk his way down towards that bottom lane. Only really got the slow to get things started off, but the fact that Diamond's level 7 now has that death mark could mean a quick death for either Candy Panda or Unrated.
Yeah, this very slow start has benefited Diamond a lot. He's now level 7, he didn't have to do any ganks. He showed the bot like once just to quickly clear out a minion wave, and then he backed off, and then he did the whole thing in mid very early in the game. Ever since that, he just farmed. Now he's level 7, and he can actually start, you know, forcing some things with his ultimate.
And 10 minutes in, no first blood yet in this game. That may change though if Fred is not careful about it. He just rocket jumps away to the safety of his minions, and SK starts stacking up here. 4-man stack in that mid lane. Alexic is there, Diamond's there. Are they going to be able to hold this turret? And are they going to be able to stop Blitzcrank pulling one out into the middle of the pack?
Edward is coming down though. They might want to fight this. Alex took a big spear in the head though. Will they fight?
There is a super mega death rocket to get things started. They pull in Diamond actually. There's the ultimate coming out of Svensson. There's a lot of damage going on to him. There is first blood picked up by Alexic. Can they get any more? There is Alex diving onto Candy Panda. Well, he uses flash to get away, and that will be first blood and a 1-for-0 in the end for Gambit.
Great moves right here by Diamond. He forces all the damage onto him, and then he just pops out of the team fight. No kill for SK. On the other hand, Svensson was stuck in the middle of everything. Look at the engage coming in right here. Edward comes in together with the ultimate from Diamond. SK instantly sees Diamond. Look at his shadow. He pops out as soon as he's out of his CC, and he won't die. Instead, Svensson, he's silenced and he's caught in the middle of everything. You're dead.
Really nicely closed in by Gambit. And we talk about that special 20-minute mark where they seem to always find themselves fighting in there 5 versus 5, whether that's for the dragon or some other objective, and from there things really get rolling for the Russian side. But this time around, 11:40, a slower start to the game than we've maybe become used to here, but a very calculated start nonetheless, as Freddy just spots that ward going down, and with that also sees Genja doing the golem. So he knows that there's at least the AD carry coming in there. We can see that Diamond has started to move down as well towards that bottom lane, but with the Tristan and rocket jump, decently safe.
Yeah, safe enough. At least he has his flash as well if it should be needed. But look at the overall farm in this game. Gambit is actually winning pretty much every lane. We touched on this with SK being weak in the early game. Right now, Gambit, if they get one more team fight or a big team fight and they win this, they can actually just snowball the game from there.
500 gold lead is what they hold. Freddy again having to back out a lane and take things away from the jungle. Let's have a look down some items now that we've got another bit of a quiet period. Alexic got himself that Fiendish Codex in there. Actually, funnily enough, Jesus has not really spent up. He must be sat on a decent amount of gold at this point. I think about 2,500 gold actually that he has. He's going to lose his turret here though to Alex.
Yeah, I mean, this was a matter of time after the whole thing Diamond did in the early game. Pressured him down, they got a lot of hits on the turret, and Alex has had full control of the lane so far. What I'm looking more at is actually Tristana, who's going to go for an early Blade of the Rune King, simply to try and split push and win the 1v1 versus Mundo.
No, Svenskeren here just making sure that his side of the jungle is fully warded. That's how scared I think a lot of junglers are of Diamond, but he may walk into a bit of a trap here, but realizing, you know, he's Zed, he can just jump straight back on out. Svenskeren's bandage sauce didn't quite have the range to get in. Alex actually pushed quite far up on the mid lane. They might try and come and fight for this blue buff, actually. There are 3 men there for SK Gaming, and there is a diving Alexic. Didn't quite get it. Svenskeren had to smite it, though.
He had to smite it. Smart move right here. They force the blue buff away from Jessis. They love to do this, and this means now Jessis is going to have an even harder time versus the blue buff LeBlanc that he's going to pick up later on. They had to teleport, though, on Darien, so they could have gone for a fight, but they didn't really need it right now. I think they just want Darien to farm up, get some items, and then once we start seeing, you know, the dragon fights, he's going to be this big tanky Darien, we know.
No, Mondo now got that Sunfire cape in there, and that's where Darien will start to feel a lot more comfortable once he can start pushing these waves out and maybe joining Diamond in just running amok in the enemy jungle. And whilst they didn't secure that blue buff, as we said, it kept away from nearly. Is Edward actually going to get pulled in from this one? But he thought about turning that one around there. Just popping a lightning rush, and in
Alex
the end, SK can't push in yet. Alex actually coming around the side from this one. Enrated going to be the target as the chains go down. Diamond coming in from the side. Deathmark is down, but it won't be needed as Genja picks up a kill.
Great roam by Alex right here. He has full control. He can do whatever he wants on the map. Jessis can't do anything. He's going to try and push down the mid turret, but he doesn't really have too much damage to give it, and Gambit can go in, defend it. It's a great move right here, though.
That's Jessis pushing back on that middle turret, and you can see that Diamond and Genja have started to move away from that bottom lane. They left Edward's Kennen there to actually do the damage to the turret, and as they see Nidalee back off, they may just go back in. Does Diamond fancy his chances there at having to go on towards Candy Panda? Edward actually going to pop his ultimate, and the damage just not quite there. Candy Panda got out of range of him. It left Edward low. Diamond at half health, and Gambit forced to back away. Candy Panda, 1 versus 2, saying you can't bully me out that easy.
No ultimate on Diamond, and he really needs it. Every time he wants to go for a kill, he needs it. Very risky dragon started from Gambit because there's no ultimate again on Diamond. He won't really be able to do much in a team fight.
No, they've got Alex there who's got full health, and that may just be enough to scare Enrated away from this one. They've got Candy Panda in that bottom lane, but in the end the dragon resets, and that won't be attempted just yet. I'm assuming that Diamond's going to want to go home here, spend up the cash that he's earned recently, and then get back in to have this fight, or certainly challenge around that dragon. Well, look at the positioning from Alex. He's got a ward down. He's now behind both Svenskeren and Jessis.
But it's only him and Genja right here. Oh, really going for Jessis?
Oh, bit of a face check into that one, but using that mobility to get away from things, making sure that he doesn't go down and get caught out and not even hooked or bandage tossed onto in that one. But SK have started off the dragon now. We've got the 2 top laners in the top lane. Darien does have his teleport available if he wants to come down, and just it looks like the sheer positioning here from Gambit has forced SK off. Alex is going straight back up mid.
This is so smart by Gambit because Alex has the great position. He can just go up, hit the turret, go back, go up again. So Gambit right now is just playing SK around, and they just wanted to stop and stall the Baron. And if you notice just right here, teleport is up on Darien. He can come down and join if needed.
Genja actually just started off the dragon himself. That pulled SK back down towards it. And is that pink ward in position? And it is going to be SK taking that one out. They've managed to pull in Alex. The knockup comes before he could properly get away, but he did get away just in the end there. The true shot barrage comes through, but that won't be enough to finish off. But that leaves Alex Ich now at very low HP as the dragon is started by SK.
Now 2 ultimates down from SK. Otherwise they have to advantage. Darien coming in with teleport.
Yeah, Genja just completely pulling him out of position there. Svenskeren going to be focused on. Deathmark going to pop. He puts down Curse of the Sad Mummy, but that is not enough to keep him alive. And that is Gambit just bullying their way into the dragon, getting a kill, and surely the dragon as well.
The Jinx execute damage from her ultimate, destroyed Svenskeren right here. But in the top lane, if he takes down this turret, it's actually a fan of trade for SK Gaming.
Freddy is hammering away on that one. He's not got many minions left there with him, but I think he does have the damage this wave to get rid of that one completely. And in fact, he says, you know what, I'm going to have to tank it up a couple of times, but that'll be fine enough. And that leaves SK now tied on the turrets. 3 behind in kills. Let's have a look at that play again down by Dragon.
It's pretty much again, Svenskeren is being left. He has to flash it, but at this point he's slowed. Dr. Mundo lands his cleaver. He can't really get away, and we see the execute damage from Jinx coming in.
Great pick up there. And just showing Gambit so patient whilst we we say so often, you know, Darian, he kind of runs around doing what he wants, and Diamond spends more time in the enemy jungle than his own. When it comes to actually being coordinated, there's not many, if any, teams that are better than Gambit at that.
No, but they're playing so aggressive on the map. I mean, Alex constantly roams around behind the enemy lines. Oh, that is a spear that hurts.
That is a spear that hurts. Full range from that one. Athene's Unholy Grail is all, along with those 2 Doran's rings that Jesus has right now. He's still 20 CS behind. It looks like they might want to try and finish off finally this mid turret. They already did a lot of damage to it early on. Edward, though, on the little cannon, just forcing them straight out of there, saying, no, that's not going to happen. And look at this, Darian coming down from seemingly out of nowhere. He's going to get right on top of them. Here comes Edward. There is Alex Ich as well. And rated down below half health. And he's not going to escape from this one. He backs away towards Gambit to make sure the rest of his team can get away. But another 1-for-0 catching out of position kill from Gambit.
Yeah, every time SK tries to do something, Gambit comes in, picks up a kill, and then goes back to just farming, or, you know, right here they might actually try and force the blue buff. But so far, SK, they don't really lose the fights that hard. It's just 1 kill. But for Gambit, they just keep extending the lead.
And Edward just goes back there to drop a ward into the tri-bush before he scoops on out of things, and then he scans up on the other side. Okay, that's free 30 gold for me, and let's see if I can have a go at stealing your blue buff from range. Not this time though. Jesus actually got that one, and Svenskeren not forced to actually smite that one up this time as he was with that previous spawning.
Now, we have seen though a few times Alex being caught out by either a hook or the spear from Jesus. So there are some, you know, points where SK can actually do the engages, but every time it happens, they're not really in a position to do anything with it. So far, Gambit has survived it, but it could actually end up costing more for Gambit. And we see Alex again behind the enemy lines.
Yeah, Deathfire Grasp is what he has, and he knows that, well, Freddy's obviously going to be the easier target, or is he? Goes straight in on towards Svenskeren, and the chain's not going to quite prop, but the rest of the team coming in from this one. Freddy now finds himself up against 2 men, plus the clone of Alex. Picks the right target, actually, but the death mark on him, that's not going to be enough damage to get the kill. But they came here for that red buff, did Gambit, and they are going to take it away. Diamond took a spear as well to the face as he walked out, but that will be a 1-for-0 in the end. SK's first kill of the game.
Yeah, but this time it was SK picking up the kill when Gambit tried to do a move. Alex wanted to burst down Svenskeren. He couldn't kill him right away, so Svenskeren managed to get out, and instead Freddy man mode jumped into 2 people and picked up the kill once he knew which one was Alex and which one was the clone.
Always good to have the right one when you're going to throw your ultimate in it. That's can be a little bit embarrassing sometimes if you pick the wrong one. Down in the bottom, Genja and Candy Panda. Actually, Genja having the advantage at this stage. A 20 CS or so lead, and he got a level on Candy Panda as well. You can see that 7,400 to the 6,700 of what Candy Panda has taken in gold overall throughout this game. If you look down some of the items as well, some more starting to come in there. The Trinity Force with the Vamp Scepter in for Candy Panda. The Bloodthirster Zeal combo down for Genja.
Yeah, the Trinity Force means, at least for his case side right here, Candy Panda versus Darian. He's not going to be able to kill Darian at all. So if there's a big team fight and Darian gets into the face of Candy Panda, he's going to remove him completely from the fight. At the same time, with all the burst damage Gambit has on the 4 other champions, even the cannon support right here, I'm not sure Svenskeren is going to be able to stay alive for long enough for SK to actually win the fight.
Diamond, we should touch on his items as well. Picking up that Zed, we're still not quite sure if that was meant to happen, whether they were supposed to pick the LeBlanc and the Zed, and the reaction from Genja in Champions League said that maybe that wasn't quite so planned and they left it too late. He has a Brutalizer Hex Drinker in there as well now. Yeah, right now the pick is actually working for Gambit because this game is so slow. I mean, he was never forced to do anything. He could just farm. We see him, he has 112 CS already. He has 1 kill as well and an assist. So he's actually having pretty much the perfect early game for him. Oh, Alex Itchy coming in towards Freddy. There's the DFG. The burst going to come down. Alex actually going back out and he's forced to jump away from this one. Oh, very close to falling in the end. Freddy picking right. Oh, there comes the super. Oh, no. So close to finishing off Freddy. Somehow he's lived through the burst from 2 men. Now we've got actually Diamond coming in and Edward, but they're actually going to guess wrong here and go towards the wrong bush. Freddy gets out somehow.
I mean, this is just a Freddy we've been used to seeing also from last week. He's just him versus 2 or 3 people of the enemy team. He survives the burst due to his barrier from Alex, and he actually almost picks up the kill. And even the rocket, because he could lifesteal on the minions, he didn't die.
So SK have finally got rid of that middle turret. We've been talking about it for quite a while. It finally does go away. Speaking of Diamond and Darian, we talked about their go wherever you want kind of mentality. They were actually behind SK Gaming as that all went down. Are they going to try and close in? Tristan is actually further up that mid lane, and Diamond has already taken a bit of damage. That will force Gambit to kind of position around and get back on their side of the map. Dragon is on the map though now.
Dragon is on the map. There's pretty much all ultimates are ready for this, except for Alex's right now, but it's going to go up in a very short time. Will SK try and fight for this?
Darian just playing the tanky front line, and by the time the rest of SK come in, that Dragon has already gone down. Edward actually moving forward. Are they going to go for it? Darian has popped his ultimate now, charging in there. It's Svenskeren that they're focused on. There's the pull on towards Edward. He takes his ultimate instantly from that. Knocked back though by Tristana. Where's the damage coming down here towards Enrated? Genja still full HP, tries to land the zap, which doesn't, so it flashes in, picks up the kill at Enrated. That's going to get him the movement speed going in. Alex gets himself another one. Genja's going in all on his own here. Finally, the rest of the team come around. Genja pays the price, but that's a 3-for-1 for Gambit.
And Freddy actually saved Edward. He ultimated him, so he was not. Oh, come in. Nope.
It's Mondo.
It's Mondo. It's Darian as well. But Edward actually got shot out of the whole team fight, and that meant that he didn't die, and there was no reset or anything for Freddy, and they didn't manage to pick up anything from it, and instead Gambit could just start picking up the kills, and once Jinx gets the first kill, her passive procs, she can just keep chasing. Genja did maybe go a little bit too aggressive in the tower, but they managed to pick up 2 more kills.
Yeah, and this game has been a strange one, I think. It's not what we used to see. You know, it doesn't follow the strict Gambit guidelines of how a game really goes down. We've seen very much picks, although the champions like Zed and LeBlanc really add to that. That's what they've got in their team comp to actually work with. And we're now 25 minutes into this one. That was the first real big impact team fight for Gambit.
I mean, so far, the lineup from SK has been really good at disengaging. So every time there was a fight they didn't really want to take, they could just get out, and Gambit could just pick up Svenskeren, who's like the guy left alone. He doesn't really have anything to get out with. Everyone else has the jumps or the speed boost from Enrated himself. So SK has just been saying, you get this objective, we don't want to fight. Okay, you get a kill, fair enough, we're just going to keep extending the game. It's okay for us. It does mean, though, that Gambit is in a great position, and as we saw in this team fight, even though they were split out when it started and Edward got hooked in, they actually still won the fight.
Well, while we've got this pause going on, let's take a look back at that last team fight here that Gambit came out so nicely on top of, to be honest with you.
Yeah, so we see actually the Gambit guys. But we see the team fight right here coming in. Now it's on my screen as well. We see the hook coming in, and instantly as the hook comes in on Edward, he actually gets shot out, and there's nothing, SK can do to try and kill him. And at this point, they have used everything on the support, and now Darian is there, and Genji is there untouched. He flashes in, gets the reset, get his passive proc, and he can actually go in for, more kills. He really goes deep, though, because Diamond is probably calling go, 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 as he has his ultimate, and Genji is just full man-moding in. He will die for it, but they do pick up a kill.
Yeah, and a crazy one again. Gambit going deeper and deeper and deeper, as you said, Genji. Maybe just a little bit too far into that one. But this pause hopefully will be rectified here in just a couple of moments, and we can get this one back underway. Just to kind of recap where we are, a 5,000 gold lead, which I think I've said that quite a few times over and over, because that lead has seemingly stayed around that level for quite a while now.
It's pretty much been the story of the game. SK try to do things, Gambit comes in, stops it, and then picks up a kill in return. And then, nothing really comes from it, except Gambit just keeps extending their lead slowly. For SK to get back in this game now, though, we need some great spears, and we need some great hooks from Enrated, and they have to not shoot out the target before it's actually dead.
Well, those spears are only going to be getting stronger here for Jesus as he farms up, and I feel like he's had that themes for a long while without adding too much on top of it as well. And actually right now, after getting the blue buff, he's just going to be headed home, so I'm assuming going to be spending up whatever pot of cash he's got saved from that last one, and it will be a needlessly large rod and a blasting wand as well.
Now, on Candy Panda, he's also going for the Blade of the Rune King. If they get 2 of those, they will actually do a lot of damage on Darien when he runs into the face, and it will also help him survive the burst on both LeBlanc and Zed if they manage to activate it while the whole burst thing is going on. So I like the pickup, and once they complete it, it will actually going to be funny to see if Darien will die rather fast or if he's just still going to tank everything.
And Darien just got bored there of trying to finish off the minions and just decides, you know what, I'm just going to push straight in and take down that turret, which, you know, we've had the changes. The bottom towers are weaker at this point as Enrated hooks out.
TP coming in.
Trying to get Diamond, and we do have the TP. We also have Kennen on the top side of this one. Are SK going to be able to avoid this big fight that's coming their way from Gambit? They've got vision there with that ward, but Gambit are trying to head them off on the top side. They're going to spot Jesus. Darien gets hit with the spear and losing that much health straight away from the tank. Gambit back off.
Once again, due to the mobility on SK Gaming, they can back out. Whenever Gambit wants to fight, SK is like, nope, we don't want to take this fight, we're just going to back everyone together, 5 men. They stop chasing from Gambit's side, and then nothing happens. Oh, Hook coming in.
Oh, they've got Diamond in there. Is he going to go down? He does get his death mark off, but it's onto Enrated. The damage not going to be too huge. Darien has to pop his ulti, but SK might try and charge in for this one. Alex was just waiting off to the side, as was Genjun. That's a pickup, just a pick-off kill, really, again from SK.
But this is what SK need. Every time they can land a hook, get a kill, they claw themselves back into the game. Yeah, sure, they're 5k behind, but you won't be able to survive this hook unless you're actually Dr. Mundo.
Well, Alex here is doing his blue buff. As he scans, he realizes that it's actually in full vision right now of the SK team. They've just cleared out the pink ward that was there before. The blue buff has gone to reset,
nice.
And he gets hooked over the top of the wall. And SK say, thank you very much for the blue.
Yeah, SK Gaming has both the Blitzcrank and an Italy to try and steal the blue buff. So wisely enough by Alex, he did scan it for the ward, but it was too late. And as soon as he started it, SK moved and they just took it.
So things going to slow down here again for a second. Alex, as you can see, just trying to move his way around, check for any wards going in there. He's switched over now to that sweeping lens, which obviously gives him the ability to set things up in a brush and check if there's actually anything there with him while he goes.
Yeah, Alex is definitely going to keep doing what he's been doing so far. Just walk in behind the enemy lines, make sure he's not standing in a ward, and then whenever someone from SK walks by, he's going to try and burst them down. And he doesn't even care if it's Svenskeren or someone else on the team.
Diamond there, just getting his shadow down before he puts the warning so that he can dash straight back off to it. We've got actually this dragon coming up in just less than 2 minutes time, which, you know, now more than ever, obviously those gold bonuses that build up over time means that dragon in a game where the gold is at 5,000 used to be not a huge amount, and that's certainly increased, but a dragon at this point certainly helps bring it back.
I mean, if SK managed to pick it up and a few kills with it, this game is completely even. But I just noticed one thing. I've never seen a support with 71 CS by 28 minutes. Right now, Edward is running around the map. He's picking up farm wherever he can. I have seen Genji leave the farm for him, actually, because he wants to get these few items on Kennen so he can really start doing something in team fights.
Well, and he's certainly getting there as well. Haunting Guy's already in. Well, looks like the start of the Crystal Scepter as well, with the Giant's Belt and the Amp Tome as well. And we can see that Darien seems to be pretty committed to causing a lot of disruption on this top side there, as we do see Svenskeren actually smiting away the Wraith. They're going on towards Freddy, and half health just gone straight away, just like that. In the mid lane, actually, LeBlanc is taking a lot of damage there. Is the Mimic coming out? They pick the right target. Can they get the last hit? Alex, no, is still alive.
Oh.
True Shot Barrage dodged away from, and there's the clone again, hit by the spear. That gets them out. The hook actually not landing there onto Kennen. The top turret did fall in the meantime, but SK are closing in. But there is Edward turning it around. Jeza's going to be blown to pieces, and Rated not got much health left either. And now Alex is pushing in on the top side. That's a double kill for Genja. They're going to get another one here, and that right there is 3 for nothing, and it's not over yet. And Rated's going to fall. That's a kill for Edward. Genja's assist means he can chase after Candy Panda. The zap doesn't land though, and Candy Panda finds himself last man alive. That looked like it was going to go horribly wrong for Gambit, and they got 4 kills and no one died.
The fact that Alex managed to survive the gank on him meant that the whole Gambit team could then turn around and then go down towards SK. We saw both Edward, Genja, and Diamond jumping on N-Rated and Svenskeren, or was it Jessis, in the jungle and just picking up the kill. But Alex should have died. Definitely should have died in this one. He dodged the ultimate beautifully though, and that meant that now Gambit can do pretty much whatever they want, and it was a beautiful team fight all around.
This one now, they've started off the Baron. There is full vision. They are spotted right now by the ward. Can they get in though? Alex is bullying them at the front. There goes a true shot barrage across. That's only really going to help them out, and it will be finished off there with a smite of Diamond. Baron going the way of Gambit.
But this risky play from Gambit, it works out in this game, but they could also have gone horribly wrong, especially now if Alex actually had that. Oh, he will burst.
Straight on towards Freddy, and not quite enough damage just yet there from Alex. And missing the chains anyway coming out. That could have changed things as Jesus did just get his blue buff before Gambit swooped on this bottom side of the map. So they're going to get the Baron. Picked up 4 kills in that last fight just before the Baron kill. And they get the Dragon as well. All of a sudden, the gold's at 10,000.
Yeah, I mean, huge lead right now for Gambit, but SK has actually been doing the right things. They try to punish Gambit every time they went into risky positions. They try to gank Alex right here in the mid lane, but Gambit has always been one step ahead, and then always like, a bit ahead in gold, a bit stronger in the team fights, so they could just punish them whenever SK didn't manage to pick up the kill.
And SK have got a couple of different options here as well. They can poke right back with the Nidalee, with the Ezreal. They can grab someone in with Blitzcrank as well, but you've got to hit the skill shots here. That is the important thing. And they've got Diamond now pushing up that mid lane all alone.
And Diamond is level 16, so if they send someone to try and stop him, he will win the 1v1. This is where Zed is really, really strong. And when there's no tank, except for the Mumu, who obviously cannot stop the Zed, there's nothing SK can actually do against him.
And then right now not sending anyone there. Actually, Ezreal did come down. Candy Panda going to be too late to that party though, as Edward just speeds in and out, dodging the damage from that spear. And Candy Panda certainly can't face off against Diamond at this stage. Although we'll be able to arcane shift away. But there is Alex diving into the middle, and Freddy again. About a quarter of his health remaining. Darian just getting into the front line here, just making sure that they hit him, that he takes all the damage. That'll be enough for Gambit, and they pick up that inner turret.
Yeah, the siege tactic for Gambit is not just wait for the minion wave, hit the turret. No, it is Alex jumping into the face, getting someone low, and then the rest goes in and hits the turret when SK is too low to actually fight. Very nice. And again, Diamond is going to be such a pain for SK to deal with.
And we can see that Diamond right now on top of the red buff. He secures that one, and he's going to go in towards Candy Panda. There's the spear. A split-second flash will get him over the wall, and he's back towards his shadow. He's not going to be easy to track down. The spear not got the range. Svenskun comes in, gets the ulti off on towards Diamond, and he's finished off by Jesus.
He almost managed to escape, but there was nothing more to do. And meanwhile, Genya was pushing the bot turret. He had 3 people coming to kill Diamond. He almost got away. I actually think if he didn't go in for or try to kill on Candy Panda, he could have gone away pretty safely. But he thought there was, less people from SK, and he could actually pick up a kill.
And all that time away with 3 men chasing down Diamond allowed the damage for Genja down bottom as well. Always a welcome sign. Genja actually now 4-1-5 Infinity Edge on top of that Bloodthirster and the Zeal. And well, he just keeps going with the items.
Round 2 right here. There's Barry and Freddy. Oh, he's going in.
This time he's not getting away. Alex is not going to miss a point-blank set of shots. And the ward was there as well. So pretty much an easy pickup from Alex. He's done that consistently throughout the game as Edward going to get caught out here by Candy Panda. He actually turns the damage around. And this is a support against the AD carry. Edward going low. He's going to fall. No, he actually got the kill before falling from that one. That was Edward's killing spree that Candy Panda just shut down. That's the support, folks.
That is the support, but this is why you give so much farm to Edward. He will be able to carry the game, and Svenskun going in, he might die.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a grave mistake for them. Alex, he picks up that kill. It allows them to charge on forward towards Jesus. Cleaver actually lands. Darian's between both turrets. There's the execute from the Super Mega Death Rocket, and Jesus forced right back onto the base. Are they going to have enough damage here to keep going? They're waiting for the minions to actually come up, or for the big minion Darian to actually tank up that turret, or are they? They turn around, go for Freddy, who's lost half of his health already. Jesus is off to the side. Finally, the minions come up mid. Diamond's going to hammer away. This is an inhib turret, and Genja wants a bottom one as well.
But this has not been a fun game for Svenskun. Every time he goes in, he just dies. Every single time so far. Darren goes onto him, puts a cleaver in his face, and then you just slowly kill him out. And Alex, he's just jumping around everywhere.
We have 2 inhibitors down. Gambit, statistically in this kind of position, do not waste time in finishing games, although that spear there on towards Alex Hitch might slow them down somewhat. Darian has a half HP. They actually pull him into that one. He flashes away from it. Ultimate use actually, and that's because Diamond's in there as well. There's a lot of damage coming down here. Alex Hitch is going to fall. They can clean up this one. Darian gets knocked in the air, but he's regenning like an absolute beast. Bandage Toss not got the range on it, and Darian is almost at full health again as he turns around on the steps. Diamond got away. It's a 1-for-1 there. They stopped him pushing in any further, which is what they were looking for.
Darian and Diamond almost died this time, but they managed to get out. Edward wasn't even there for the fight. Yet Gambit just stayed in the base and just, danced around. Will this be, if he actually goes for this one again and wins it, this is going to be the best support player I've seen in a long time.
And also not the best days of Candy Panda. That's not what you want to see after spending all that time farming against him as a support and then end up 1v1 and both of you dying out to that one. But that just shows that Edward, we had the call. Alex Hitch said, I wanted Edward to play a support that's got damage. And, well, if that's not a support with damage, then I don't know what is.
But I think we can agree, if your support can solo your AD carry, or at least go 1-for-1 versus him, it's not looking too good for your team overall. And once we actually see, or if we will see a 5v5, I think as well, like the damage from Edward, the slow he brings in as well, is simply also going to be so huge and pretty much impossible for SK to deal with.
I see an extra blasting one now picked up for Edward, so he's not wasting any time in getting even more damage down. Darian, we should point out his build as well, because it just doesn't really get much tankier than what he's got there, with the Warmogs in there, the Randuin, Sunfire Cape, Spirit Visage. We saw actually here Alex getting hooked in, and this time they'll finish him off, and Alex trying to pick someone out. SK will be happy to take him and maybe slow what Gambit's push can be.
And now SK has to try and force the fight. There's no ultimate on a Mumu, but they have to try. It's 5v4, and this is the chance for them to actually come back.
Are they going to try and chase them down? Darian keeps the cleavers coming, keeps regenning. 20 health per tick that he's getting from that one. You just can't really do enough damage to him right now. Even if you blast him down with the spear, he regens it straight back up. They need Freddy basically to stop that happening with the health regen reduction.
I mean, we saw in the last team fight they almost took down Darian, but it took a lot of time for them, had to invest a lot of damage in it. Meanwhile, though, look at Diamond just pushing.
Yeah, they kind of forgot about this bottom lane. Diamond going up there. He's got that Guardian Angel in now as Candy Panda throws out his ultimate. The rest of Gambit here pushing that top lane. Don't forget, Alex Hitch is dead at this point. This is 4-on-5 at this stage of the game. We see Genja actually went low. I think he caught a spear actually from that one. And now Diamond starts to move up towards this top side. Darian continues. There's plus 20, so period left, right, and center on him. Tanks a turret, not a problem for him whatsoever.
And Gambit can back off now, buy some items, and then go for the Nashor again, and then pretty much return to this and do the exact same thing. They don't have to really loosen the pressure right now, though, because there's nothing SK can do to stop them.
But do they want to back off? The fact that Alex Hitch walked all the way up middle into the enemy base tells me that they might just want to fight this one out now without waiting and taking themselves another Baron. More wards just coming down there to try and gain some vision as Darian going to take a lot of damage, comparatively a lot of damage. That's a Mundo, which is probably the same amount of health as most champions that are in the game at this point. I'm not sure exactly how much he's got, but it must be, 4,700 health at this point, as we are going to see there. The ultimate coming in, Deathmark, not enough damage. He gets onto the fountain, no, not enough damage done, but he forces him away nonetheless, and that means the damage is going in on towards the Nexus turrets. This top lane now finally going to be pushed out by Genja as he's got the time. Darian comes back in with that ultimate running. There's the ultimate out. Svensson as he goes on towards Genja, but does he have the damage here to finish him off? Genja just turning around, flashes away. He manages to survive. Now they go off towards Darian. Is he going to go down? He's regenning up, and they've not got enough to finish him up. Super Mega Death Rocket comes through. This time Svensson lives through. Meanwhile, down on the bottom side, Gambit is still pushing.
And they managed to take down the inhib while they were chasing up top versus Genja and Darian. Gambit is just running around everywhere on this map, and they don't really want any 5v5 fights. They just want these small skirmishes everywhere, and they're just winning out on it. It's like a very beautiful play, and Candy Panda might go down.
Oh, not quite that. DFG used a little bit earlier on the bottom side of the map. Diamond's Guardian Angel is still available. The Baron is on the map right now, and they could quite happily go back and take it in not much time whatsoever. And it looks like they may now eventually start to back away from things. The wave's going to get pushed out. Alex Hitch scans to see if there's any vision on him, and he's going to wait for someone to come out. But the fact is, they can't really leave their base right now, SK. They've got minions streaming in left, right, and center.
And that was the thing from before. Gambit didn't back off to do Nashor because they knew they had the super minions putting extra pressure on SK Gaming, so there's no reason for them to actually back off. Now they can go for it, or they can just go back in, do the same thing, put pressure on both inhibs, and pick them up, whenever they actually feel like it.
That could be in the next 5 minutes. That could be in the next 20 minutes. I mean, Gambit, a win's a win. It doesn't matter how long it takes. We say that so often. And the safest way to do it right now maybe would be to wait, take themselves that Baron, and then start to push Edward, who's now got a Void Staff added into all his other items. Support Kennen, ladies and gents.
I just want to see him go in and just melt someone when the team fight starts. And then just afterwards, yeah, I'm the support. What are you going to do about it?
He's almost got as much farm as Svensson right now. He's only 20 CS behind that one, and we can see that finally Gambit do move over towards the Baron. Nothing that SK can do here about this.
To be fair though, to Svensson's farm, he's been stuck in the base of SK pretty much the entire game. Gambit has controlled the map, and there were always someone in the jungle of SK, so every time Svensson tried to farm, Alex would be there, hit him in the face, force him to recall. And every time a team fight started, Svensson went in, died. So he hasn't really had any chance to get any farm.
And that whole time that they were doing Baron, Darian actually was on the steps of the base, just making sure that the minion waves didn't push out, and he's actually going in there onto Candy Panda. And yes, he takes damage, but he's regenerating at 40 per tick.
He will regenerate really fast, but there was actually quite a lot of damage coming out from there. I mean, Candy Panda, will we see a fight?
Yeah, Svensson going in, they get the ultimate on towards Genja. That could be the opening they're looking for here to at least defend the base, but Freddy at the backside gets a death mark put onto him. That's half of his health gone. Edward picks one up. There's the execution as well from the Super Mega Death Rocket. And SK now left with 3-man, but Gambit, they're not super healthy here. If they can hit spears and some Qs from Ezreal, who's now been finished off, surely this is going to be game. We see the second Nexus choice taken. Darian actually getting pulled in. Triple kill for Genja. The auto attack landing. There's the Nexus turrets down. Gambit push in with the Baron, and they push in on towards the fountain. It's a 5-man team, and they might get away. A couple of them do. The Nexus turret goes down, and the Nexus itself falls. Gambit, in 42 minutes and 9 seconds, finish off SK Gaming.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, Genja was left untouched in the back. He just flashed out from the Amumu ultimate, and then there's no follow-up damage on him, and he just went in whenever, the fight settled down a little bit, and just picked up kill after kill, got his passive, and, just kept steamrolling, as we actually saw him do early in the game as well.
Something tells me that a few of you with the hashtag LCS Big Plays might be talking about that little fountain dive there by the end of things. They lost a couple of men, but I don't know if Darian was one. Yeah, Darian did actually die, by the way, for the first time in the game when he went onto the fountain there. Totally ruining his KDA.
I mean, but this is just the new Darian. He doesn't really die anymore. He just runs around. He puts so much pressure on the enemy team, and he's so annoying to play against, because whenever you want to do something, you have to keep in mind that there's a Darian running around in a different lane, pushing down something. And even if you want to go kill him, he's Dr. Mundo.
Yeah, his regen there by the end didn't really mean you could take him down. Even if you hit the spear, the Ezreal was hitting everything. If you pulled him into the middle of your team, he just wasn't going to be dying. The fountain did have the damage right at the end to give him his first death of the game. But that was a bit of a different style to what we've become used to from Gambit, I think we can say. We did have that fight around 20 minutes, but it almost looked as though that wouldn't really come, as though SK almost forced that to happen in this game. Gambit were definitely playing the pick game.
I mean, this was just two combos, one who wanted to pick the kills, pick the fights, and the other one who just said, you know what, we don't want to fight, we're just going to run out. Gambit constantly tried to set something up, they constantly tried to fight, but SK just kept disengaging, and that was why we had this whole a bit weird mid-game when nothing really happened except for one kill here, one kill there. In the end, though, SK tried to change the tactic to catch out Gambit. It worked for a little bit until we actually had the one on Alex where he managed to survive, and then Gambit just collapsed on them, took the Baron afterwards, and then he just pushed on to the base.
So Zed in the jungle then. We weren't quite sure whether they meant to actually pick that one in. I hope we'll find that one out later. But how did you rate it, actually? Diamond had a couple of moments where you think maybe went a little bit too deep in there, but also, I mean, he ended 3-2-6, not a massive scoreline, but his farm was constantly high throughout that game.
Yeah, he did the thing he needed to do on set. Like, he got a lot of early game farm, he got an early game kill. He pretty much ignored the solo lane. I mean, the the solo lane for Darien.
Yeah.
He just said, you know what, I don't care about us losing the bot tower, I just want to farm. That meant that once they got to the fight, he could start picking up targets. That was smart. Alex, for me though, if you look away from Genji's score and Genji's team fight in this game, but if you look at Alex, he was constantly behind the enemy line making plays. It did go wrong a few times, but at the same time, it worked for him a lot of times.
And it could have been even more. He was so close to bursting, I think, Freddy down 3 or 4 other times where he barely survived it. But guys, we're going to head over to Shox, who actually has Alex H from Gambit with her to talk about that impressive victory.
Thank you very much, Joe. Yeah, Demon and I are joined by Alex playing LeBlanc in this game. Well, first thing I got to say, it looked like you were having a hell of a lot of fun versus SK Gaming. Tell me the game from your perspective, and how did you go into it?
So I don't understand their pick at all. They picked some really passive team comp. They were super passive during the game, just farming, doing nothing. And with all that comp, they picked Blitzcrank for making plays. So they didn't even go for invade with Blitzcrank, so I didn't understand the pick. Yeah, he got me sometimes, and I think one time Diamond, but it didn't change anything. And they didn't pick anything against Mundo, though they leave him open. So I didn't understand their pick.
And once again, Darien didn't die, by the way, in that game. Oh, I don't know whether he died maybe
or
at the end. Right at the end, but as you all found, he dived. Not really it. But when you picked, when the Z pick came in, was that always planned to be Diamond after seeing what they did, or was that planned to be you? And then you just adjusted and said, you know what, they're all squishy, let's go LeBlanc.
So LeBlanc is some kind of the safe pick at the moment. So we didn't know what is mid lane, if it's Ezreal or Tristana AP or Tristana AD, or there will be something else to be picked, and Tristana is some kind of counter to Mundo. So we decided to pick something safe that again stay almost against anything. And when they pick Nidalee, I actually don't like LeBlanc against Nidalee matchup that much, because it's really hard to kill Nidalee in lane if he's playing properly. Even if he falls behind, then he farms more than LeBlanc and is getting into a bit better late game. But against their comp, I think LeBlanc was really good, and Zed was too.
Yeah, you certainly had a better time with LeBlanc against them than you did against Fnatic. But what I also wanted to ask you is that Tristana pick, which was really a surprising pick to us, but at the end, even it didn't do anything to you guys. So how did you react to that one?
We thought about maybe Tristana is counter to Mundo, but we swapped the lanes, so that wasn't the problem at all.
So you guys obviously up to 4-1. At what stage do we start seeing the suits coming out for you guys?
I don't know about suits, but tomorrow is a hard game, and it will be really interesting.
Yeah, tell us a little bit more about that, though, because that's really going to be a cool game. You guys up versus Roccat and Overpower in the mid lane, who plays just about anything.
No problem, ban Mordekaiser, then we win.
All right, thank you very much. Congratulations, great performance. And now we're going to go over to Joe and the Fee Show to see how today's games affected the standings.
Thank you very much, Shox. And we've just heard the secret there to beating Roccat. Ban Mordekaiser. Certainly one of the more interesting picks we've seen in a while here in the LCS. And as we wrap up day 1 of week 2, let's have a look at the standings for this week. And even though they didn't play a game today, Fnatic still remain at the top of the league at 4-0. But right on their heels, we now have 2 teams tied for second. Both Gambit and Roccat are tied at 4-1. And remaining in 4th place is the Copenhagen Wolves at 3 wins, 2 losses.
Slipping to 5th place is SK Gaming at 2 wins and 3 losses. And pulling themselves out of last place with today's win, we have Alliance. And even with Alliance are even with Super Hot Crew, putting them in 6th place at 1 win and 4 losses each. And after their 2 losses today, Millennium have sunk to the bottom in 8th place with 1 win and 5 losses.
Well, the good thing is week 2 is far from over. On Friday, we have 4 more heavy-hitting matches, beginning with Alliance versus the Copenhagen Wolves. Some great stories in that one. And, well, stories. Roccat versus Gambit will be game number 2.
And then we have Fnatic versus Super Hot Crew and Millennium versus SK Gaming.
And you can catch all that right here when the action begins at 7 p.m. Central European Time, which is 10 a.m. Pacific. And speaking of action, we've got more coming your way right now as it's time for the Challenger Series to begin. So let's send things over to Freak and Kobe as they bring you Ninjas in Pajamas versus SK Gaming Prime. Gents, take it away.
Thank you very much, Joe, and welcome everybody to the European Challenger Series, brought to you thanks in part to our friends at Coca-Cola. I am David Freak Turley. This is Sam Kobe Hartman Kensler, and we've got a pretty shiny new Challenger Series set here. Kobe, how you doing, man?
I'm doing really good. I'm excited that we get to watch all the European LCS now. There's so many interesting picks that come out.
The Mordekaiser mid. Pantheon jungle's like common now. You're like, oh yeah, it's Pantheon for like the 5th time this week.
That might be the first time that North American innovation in the jungle went over to Europe.
Mm-hmm.
We'll take credit for that.
He was a mid laner first, then we're like, Dominate's like, no, it's a jungler. And they're like, you're right, he is. So go us. All right, we're awesome. Now coming up on tonight's broadcast, we have our first quarterfinal battle in the European Challenger Series. The top-seeded Ninjas in Pajamas face off against SK Gaming Prime. Now SK Prime was known as Team Kappa Prime when they beat Ocelot's crew last week, and they're putting on a good show so far.
Yeah, I mean, while last week's games were a best of 1, tonight's games, the quarterfinals are a best of 3. So the winner's going to move on to the Challenger Series semifinals.
Yeah, and of course, because I'm a big believer in visual reinforcement, let's take a look at the European Challenger Series bracket. The top of the bracket is tonight's battle between NIP and SK Prime. Now, they're going to face the winner of tomorrow night's quarterfinal match between Tick, Trick, and Duck and Storm Games Clan. Now, in the semifinal round, that match, that's going to be February 6th.
And then in the bottom half of the bracket is the number 2 seed and former LCS participant Meet Your Makers, taking on Eyes on You next Thursday, January 30th. And then on January 31st, it's going to be Cloud9 HyperX Eclipse taking on Pulse Esports for the last spot in the semifinals.
And while the winners of these 4 matches will earn the right to move on to the semifinals, the losers don't go home empty-handed. Not only do they receive Challenger Series points and cash as parting gifts, but they'll get another shot at the Challenger Series in a couple of weeks when the second Spring Series kicks off.
For all the information on the Challenger Series, just go over to lolesports.com, pull down the menu under Leagues and Tournaments, and then choose the EU Challenger Series.
Okay, so now that you guys know what's at stake, let's get to our first game of the day. It's, again, the top seed Ninjas in Pajamas versus the 8th seed SK Gaming Prime. Now, for NIP, tonight's BO3 is another step in a long journey to reclaim a spot in the LCS.
I'd say it's definitely been a few brutal months here for the Ninjas in Pajamas. They finished tied for 2nd in the EULCS summer regular season, but before losing both of their tiebreaker matches, they dropped down into 5th place. Then at Gamescom, they got swept out of the playoffs and into regulation by Gambit, who we just saw.
I mean, Gambit's a pretty freaking strong team, but then just over a month ago, NIP came into the spring promotion tournament. They were clear favorites, right? Very strong team. They thought they were going to get back into the LCS. They were the number 1 seed there, and they chose to face KMT as their challenger opponent. That match didn't go so much NIP's way.
Right, so KMT, which is now Team Rocat, they actually swept NIP in 3 games, basically shocking the entire world because a lot of people put so much hype behind this NIP team. But, you know, maybe now that Team Rocat are 4-1 in the EU LCS, NIP can feel a little bit better about that loss. Don't take it so hard.
At least they lost to good players, but certainly, yeah, Rocat a real surprise. NIP, unfortunate. But, you know, with NIP, they're looking to avoid another loss to a top challenger team. They're going to face SK Prime tonight.
So like we said earlier, SK Gaming Prime was known as Team Kappa Prime last week during the play-in round of the Challenger Series. And that was pretty good week for them. They came in as a 10 seed and crushed the number 3 seed in their first game, and then in their second game they upset Ocelot and his Gamers 2 team to advance to the quarterfinals.
Yeah, that was a fun team. They ran the Trundle top Yasuo mid and used Pillar plus Yasuo ult to engage fights. They're a crafty bunch. I'm looking forward to what SK Prime pulls out here. Now, of course, so far in the Challenger Series, SK Prime has been led by some primetime performances. Their AD carries Vanillin and their mid laner Exila have been pretty dang good.
Yeah, Vanillin went 9-2-9 as Lucian in their first game, and then he went on to go 8-0-6, not dying on Jinx to take out Ocelot's Gamers 2. Their mid laner, Exila, also had some really good games. He's gone 13-6-14 on both of their wins.
Yeah, so of course SK Prime have put together a pretty good roster of players who are putting on good performances, some interesting strategic stuff. NIP, though, are interesting because...
I mean...
So, what were you going to say?
Oh, there's just so much hype around them. They were supposed to do so well. They're supposed to already be in the LCS. It's all these Lemon Dog, ex-Lemon Dog players that feel sort of entitled because they were in the LCS, and they were at the top of the EU LCS for a while.
Yeah, you've got Zoro Zero, Nuke Duck, and Mithy, all of whom played for Lemon Dogs, right? Did a really good job. You've got NIP Freeze, actually sticking with the NIP roster, playing with these guys, who has been sort of just hyped up as one of the best AD carries in Europe. I feel like... you know how like the rumor's been like Europe has the best mid laners, like North America has the best AD carries? Like you kind of hearing that like throughout season 2 and 3. I feel like the European AD carries are like really freaking good there, right? Mr. Ross is up there, like Freeze is up there, Creatin's crazy good, Reckless, like
Forgiven has really impressed me also. He was such a good replacement for Reckless. Like a lot of the people are even saying, you know, at least same level.
Yeah, so a bunch of really crazy good AD carries, guys. We're getting Champ Select up for you guys in just a minute here. And NIP, as we talked about, one new thing for them as well is, if you didn't hear, their jungler Hercubot had retired, and now they've got Aemon here to play in the jungle.
Is he 16 still?
16-year-old Swedish player. Actually, when Super Hot Crew failed their promo against SK, they were going to play the Coke League, and they picked up Aemon, and then they got in the LCS, like, oh, actually, you can't play LCS, you're 16. So then NIP just grabbed him and was like, great, this is fine, we're good to go. And so, of course, here we go into Champ Select. NIP, first pick and ban blue side. Again, a best of 3 here in Challenger Series. They've banned out the Wukong right away.
Yeah, talk about innovative junglers here. Wukong, not played a whole bunch in the LCS, but man, is he a strong up-and-coming jungler, especially with these 4.1 changes, where the Lizard Elder, Spirit of the Lizard Elder, now also will give you returns on health and mana in the jungle. It only serves to help Wukong and Pantheon, these junglers that they use mana and they do a lot of damage. So any jungler that did a lot of damage got a boost from the last change.
Yeah, they can just spam all day in the jungle. I remember actually you and Jack playing a bunch of Spectral Wraith and Mumu at the very beginning of the season and just ignoring the team and spamming the jungle forever.
That clear time is very, very fun. But then you lose out on ganks if you focus only on farming, so
unimportant.
You still have to balance.
Nope. If I'm the highest level in the game, I did my job.
True jungle style.
True jungle style, ignore team, acquire farm. Kale Elise banned out as well. The support Annie dropped away from 6. So 4 bans coming through. And the thing is, like, NIP still has a whole bunch of like high skill players ready to go, and the thing is they've been able to play in darkness too. Like I actually wonder how good SKP's scouting is, because their Elise and Kale are just very typical bans right now.
Yeah, the only typical bans we're not seeing is Mundo and Shyvana. And with a top laner like Zoro, if you give him one of those champions, it's going to be really hard to deal with in the end game. He's also known for creating problems mid-game, even like with something like Renekton. Shove up his lane, roam down to the middle, and create havoc for the rest of your team.
And we'll see what they go with here.
Yeah, I mean, no top lane bans. So top lane is free for all now. This is going to be exciting.
And Nukeduck didn't get many of his assassins removed either. Right, Talon, Zed, like any of those guys are still there. Fizz still up as well. Looks like they're looking at the Lee Sin for first jungler. We've got Vi, Wukong, and Elise all banned out. So 3 jungle bans and a Lee Sin picked up first for NIP.
All right, Lee Sin, very versatile jungler. Probably going to go into the jungle, like we said. Zoro's got his pick of top laners. If you have everything open right now, I don't think that your first choice would be Lee Sin, so probably will be a jungler.
Could be support.
Could be
see
support.
It once in a while.
You're right. You're right. Actually,
unlikely possibility
as well.
Yeah. Okay, so here we go. Only 1 support ban coming through, and right away the Jinx locked in for SK Prime. That's all kinds of fun for them. Thresh there to support as well from 6.
All right, nice duo lane right here. Everybody always talks about the main 3 supports and the main 3 AD carries. Picking 2 right off the bat. This is a really good pairing for Jinx because she gets the escape that she does not have in her kit, the Lantern. And with the combos being harder to land now in this patch, your Flame Choppers take a little bit longer to arm. Going with the Leona or the Annie that would love that double stun combo is a little bit harder to pull off. So going with the safer route here with Thresh, I like a little bit of adjustment.
All right, so there we go. We're going to see these guys come in here in NIP. Ooh, looking for a little bit of something different here. Now, Freeze has been playing a bunch of Sivir on live of late. His top 3, Jinx, of course, stolen away Sivir, but also Draven. A couple players have been picking up Draven in the recent past, and I know Doublelift called that Draven one of the few champions actually laned well against Jinx and Lucian. So he's going to save that for now, see where it goes. He's actually one of the only Draven players back before when the bleed was still in there as well. So one of the first ones we adopted, I suppose. But NIP going to lock in the Leona support, the Renekton top lane there. We talked about Zoro making plays with him. He's got it.
So Renekton, not really touched in this patch. He's still just a complete beast up in the top lane. And like we said before, Zoro is one of the top laners that not only will he beat his lane, but then he's also going to look to invade your jungle or swing middle and take that lead from top lane, have it actually affect the game, which is really hard to do as top laners. We always talk about them being stuck up on islands. He does take the time to try and influence the rest of the game.
Yeah, I think the Chinese teams did among the best at kind of pulling their top laners down. I used to see that a lot from these guys. But the Trundle and Shyvana both picked up here. My guess is that's actually top lane Trundle there. They did run this last time we saw this. Mozilla had a fun matchup. He was fighting Riven that time, but even still going to have probably a good time with this one. And Nuke Duck is going to get himself a LeBlanc for the blind pick mid.
Yeah, so that Trundle that you were just talking about, it's sort of popular in Europe Challenger scene because of the one team, the Cloud9 European Challenger team.
Yeah.
Their top laner like loves Trundle, and so since they beat a lot of these guys in scrims, and everyone, all the other top laners over there are kind of like, yeah, Trundle, we need to get on that. It's like the second coming, like after the Warwick top lane. It's probably going to be the next up and coming thing is Trundle top lane. He'll be super popular.
Yeah, and as soon as, you know, if Cloud and Eclipse makes it to LCS, they play the first game, Trundle gets banned, he's going to be like, yeah, they banned my Trundle. He's going to be a trendsetter there. NIP Freeze, though, still to make his last choice with this one. Looking for Lucian here. So Lucian, Leona lane versus Jinx Thresh. Mid lane LeBlanc, and the lineup is here for NIP.
It's an exciting matchup here. I mean, I think the advantage for SKP would be in the ganks, because Lantern-assisted ganks are one of the few lanes that either a Trundle or Shyvana, whichever one ends up in the jungle, can actually pull off.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, if there's no jungle interference, I really like the Nip duo lane here, because while the Leona and Jinx combo is a little bit harder to pull off with the stuns being a little bit further apart, Leona Lucian still works wonders. If they get an early level 2 and they can go all in on you, it's even hard to get away. You have to pretty much burn all of your summoners to get out of that situation. So we'll have to see if he can start with the Targons. A lot of times we'll see those Leonas get that just so they can early shove the lane, use the execute, and get that advantage.
Oh, and of course, the last pick coming through here for Exila is going to be the Zed here in the mid lane. Of course, not a lot of mid lane bans coming out at all. Actually, 0 from NIP, so getting his pick of the litter. Going to play some Zed up here versus LeBlanc. And just to note, by the way, if you didn't know, Yasuo is global banned right now. We are on 4.1. So Rengar's back, but no one's grabbed it.
That's the upside there. Rengar is back.
Rengar is back here. But yeah, we're not, of course, the Trundle Yasuo comp can't happen, unfortunately, right now for SKP until we get the hot picks out. We are here, of course, the end of Champ Select. Pretty fun lineups. Again, you talked about the duo lanes. I actually like Zed here against LeBlanc. It was a champion I was expecting to see from Exila in the first place.
Yeah.
But you can dodge her Q or R with the Deathmark activation, and then just kind of go ham.
I do like it as well because it gives them a little bit of an upper hand if they get to the split pushing game. Zed split push is very, very strong. Going up against this game, I think that's a strategy they might want to go for because they don't have a lot of like hard engage. Their front line here, Shyvana and Trundle, that's more of a disengage, like trying to use the pillar, kite away, or having Shyvana just hard farm, influence the jungle.
And of course, I want to kind of look at the rest of these lineups here for SKP. They've got a really big front line there. Shyvana, Trundle, right? A Zed can jump in there to do something, kind of Thresh can help pull him out if he doesn't get away in his own. And then you've got a Jinx there on the back line, ready to just like shoot at people. And we saw from Gambit that like the Jinx was really safe in their game against SK LCS.
You can make the Jinx really safe even without peeling for her if you can get the other team running from your front line. So that's what they're doing with the Trundle Shyvana. They're trying to get the other team on the run. When you're going super aggressive and diving all in, then you don't have to backpedal there and look out for your Jinx.
All right, well, we'll see if Vanillin can have a good time here, or if Nuke Duck can nuke him out and kill this poor little Jinx. My favorite thing about Jinx, by the way, is that when she dies, her hair makes a heart. It's just so sweet. I like all the little smileys and whatnot she has. Her ult explosion also makes a smiley face. I like those little touches, but we are going to be here. It is top lane Trundle. It is jungle Shyvana here for SK Prime. And we're looking at normal lanes so far as we start in this game.
So the lanes look like they're matching up pretty normal here. The LeBlanc is actually going regen heavy, though, not opting for the Doran Ring and going not only Flask, but also health and mana potions.
Yeah.
If you do that, you have to start drinking your potions early as soon as you take the damage because your health reserve is not that large. And if you wait too long to start chugging those, then it opens up the opportunity for Zed to burst you down. He does have the execute damage with his passive, and you can get into some really dangerous situations. So should be pretty quick on sipping through that Flask.
Okay, so hopefully it's going to be all right for Nuke Duck. Of course, we got to say NIP should come in here as the favorites. #1 seed. They just came out of the LCS. Have a whole bunch of star power here, but I don't know, we've seen teams just show up with new players and just surprise the world. My favorite is still just the kind of cool things that Roccat pulls out, right? NIP's nemesis so far here. SKP also one that have brought some really interesting strats out before. I want to see what they play with this time.
Well, looking at the duo bottom lanes here, which are going to match up against each other, they've both started Doran's shield on the supports. There won't be the early executes to help shove the lane, and so both of them are opting not to help the jungler with their first buff, just so they can be in lane and try and manually shove it as early as possible. It looks like they're going to match up pretty even here, and nobody's going to get that rush level 2 all-in sort of cheesiness.
Wow, level 1 Flay already landing on a Mythy, who did start Doran's shield, by the way. So he's actually...
literally just said that.
I just wanted to make sure that people heard. I just wanted to make sure everyone said. Yeah, so again, no push, whatever. People show up to the lane, and looks like already it's Freeze and Mythy who are forced back. NIP already on the back foot.
I also like the early Nuke Duck aggression. You know, he hits level 2 first and forces Zed back here a little bit.
Unfortunately, he's level 2 as well. Xylo, though, not really trying to do much with this one, but Nuke Duck clearly has a lot of knowledge of his matchup. He's already forcing back, already forcing a little bit of miss CS. And I got to say, that's pretty fun for Nuke Duck, who blind picked the matchup and is at a very early lead.
Meanwhile, the other solo lane up top should go to 0-0 in the beginning stages as well. You can see there, he goes for the trade when he's got his Fury Bar stacked up so that he can use his Empowered ability. Until then, he's just looking to keep it from decaying and trying to build it up with abilities there again. So now that he does have it again, he's going to force back Trundle and try and increase that CS.
And as they level up, of course, that trade gets more and more deadly. NIP actually back on the advantage here. Look at SKP playing very far away. 0 wards at all for these guys. All the trinkets have timed out, and they have no idea if Lee Sin's coming in.
So we are going to get a look at that Lantern gank. Shyvana, you know, everybody knows she has no hard CC of her own, but they don't even have to use the Lantern.
Wow, and Mythy flashes in time to not land onto the Flame Chompers there. So just some damage, but a burned summoner spell. A little bit of missed time for SKP's jungler.
Yeah, I mean, level 2, he's learned Hook and Flay, pretty standard right there. So he didn't have to even use the Lantern, though. Shyvana got in from the bush and was able to get off at least an auto.
Look at that trade in the top lane, though. Mozilla is actually pushing down 0-0, and Ginsu actually does show up, actually only for a ward. Didn't show up for a re-gank, but he's kind of really there for the team pretty heavily. Whereas Amin here just in time to show up for the top lane. The battle's coming on 2v2. Jumps in. Mozilla's going to flash away, but the flash returns. And that's first blood picked up by Amin.
Oh, there could have been a split second where he could have run earlier. Nuke Duck just does get the chain. But he saw Lee Sin with the tip of that ward. He was already engaged with 0-0, though. 0-0 did a very good job as a laner, setting up the fight with Mozilla and causing him to engage and commit to the fight.
Yeah.
He used his pillar on 0-0, so then he didn't have his pillar to disengage, burned his flash, and went down. That's a huge win there for Nip.
And what a good call by 0-0 as well, saying it's starting to push in. He's going to start going for me. And, of course, they had seen Shyvana bottom as well. All kinds of wonderful things for these guys. Nuke Duck getting through his potions pretty quickly. Only 1 flask charge left. Looks like SKP just shoving the lane so they can buy.
You also have to note that the first buy there for 0-0 backing, it was a pickaxe straight up. So he's going for the Tiamat style Renekton. Very, very aggressive. Going to try and just shove in the lane over and over. Now that he's gotten an upper hand, he shoves the lane in hard and then looks for the roam like we talked about in the beginning.
Yeah, it needs a map. Just go down to Italy. You'll find the roam, buddies. NIP still stuck in their bottom lane. Unfortunately, for SKP, they didn't get anything off of that flash going down. So equal CS, right? No return gank just yet. If that gank turns into nothing but flash coming back from cooldown, there's not much gain for Ginsu's time down there.
Yeah, it'll have to be a repeat visit there. You always want to repeat your ganks on the lanes without flash because the cooldown is so long now. It's been nerfed several times in a row, Freak. You remember back in the days?
Oh man.
When you
when you
could dodge projectiles, pop projectiles. Ah, yes.
You just couldn't die to like most champions. It's like, oh, are you trying to Scion stun me to tower dive? Nope.
It stuck around though. Flash still. Paramount Summoner. Pretty much everyone taking that. It's very standard here.
Used to have 1,000 range, and now it's back to that 5-minute cooldown, but like 400 range. Exile, ooh, early pink ward left side of the river. I want to see how long that one lasts. 620, he put that ward down. When that pink ward dies, I'm going to hopefully remember this one.
That's a good point. Both of these mid laners are roaming assassins, but because Nukeduck has the early level 6 and the early advantage here, then he's going to be the one that's looking to make the roam first. Really good pink ward that should last a long time, and it's actually even seen Lee Sin here with the invade.
And no gank's going to happen here. Exile is going to be okay right there. Top lane the Mozilla, only 5, but nearly 6. There it is. That might be too much to dive right here. And in fact, yeah, Amin goes like, never mind.
Yeah, exactly. As soon as he gets level 6, the Trundle ultimate heals for a whole bunch, especially if Trundle's able to put down that W first, boosting the healing. Now he turns his sights towards mid, though.
Ooh, lands the Q. Exile is going to actually get... oh. Got a little bit too far away at the shadow right there. Throw some shurikens. Nice try.
Nukeduck, though, he's going to try and take advantage of the Shadow being down. Shadow, very long cooldown early on. And so he follows up that gank mid with some more aggression. Even though it didn't work out, got no kill, more harass down, more lane pressure.
And speaking of lane pressure, Nukeduck's going to leave his for a second to pick up this blue buff here. But this CDR and mana regen should help him in the matchup further. Nukeduck so far has been holding on pretty steady against Exila here. Again, got counter-picked by the Zed. Exile chose his matchup knowing his opponent. And so far, Nukeduck's been happy, so I want to see if the Zed can do more later in this game. So far, nothing special.
Yeah, they're pretty much even here. The Flasks, though, is gonna continue to supply him with plenty of regen in lane, something Bullet Blanc usually lacks. And he's on every back buying all 3 consumables, even though he already has a Flask. He's still getting both types of potions as well as wards for himself, because like we said early, both these mid laners really want to keep track of each other. They don't want to let them pick up kills inside lanes.
Well, speaking of kills inside lanes, there's already a sneak in for SKP. They pink warded their own backside lane brush, so they know Ginsu is unseen in here. Lantern, of course, has to have been learned by level 5.
Has to have been.
But the flash is back up for Mithy in time. Amin's coming down here as well. It's going to be 3v3. The dive goes in onto 6. Mithy getting the shield on as well. A lot of damage going across. And here comes Amin as well. Flash away. And it's going to be a missed. Leona open the kick back into zone. On top of a lantern, though. Flash is back out. Is the chase there? Kill onto Lee Sin, actually. And SK Prime picks up the win in this fight. And they're not even done chasing. Mithy dropped to 200. Free's going to force his back, though.
So because Lee Sin coming down the river, early engage there from Mithy, they come out with the win there for SKP. Also might note that the improved lantern now does have a little bit of unit collusion, so it's easier to click. You can see that instant click there from Jinx, even though he didn't move that far, was able to get just enough distance out to the backside of the fight.
Wow, Nukeduck just took a really scary trade against Exila. Both these guys actually backing, but ulti burned from the Zed to force him away.
I also really like the timing of that fight down bottom. Both teams had the same idea. Hey, we're hitting duo level 6s here. We want to take advantage of these ultimates. But, you know, the bad news there for Nip was that the gank was already in place because of that pink ward you mentioned earlier for Shyvana.
And Mithy taking a bit of
repeat visit.
Okay, Amin, can you do this? Everyone burn their summoners on this.
Now, something is pretty interesting right there. He backs off, Lee Sin backs off because the duo lane retreats when he was approaching. All right, let's take a look at the middle instead here. Nukeduck does get his clone popped and walk away, but the shadow is still there for the all-in from Zed, and Death in the Mark Ignite will end up taking him down.
Oh, wow, he juked the Q right there.
Whoa.
That was beautiful.
So it didn't take him down?
No, he
Just
actually
kidding.
he juked
He was
the
able
Q
to
with
juke the
jump.
last Q. Okay, that was the reason. Stayed alive.
Staying alive. Nukeduck keeping himself there. Not a sitting duck in this matchup. Certainly very mobile. 0-0, already pressuring that top lane and took the turret down. And look at that, a 20 minion lead up there. Of course, SK Pre had picked up kills before. Amin not having a great time in this game. Fight coming in from Freeze. Not going to find too much, though. But 6, by the way, just making all the kills happen, removing the NIP jungler.
That's now going to be 2 ultimates to 0 in the bottom lane in favor of SKP, since they were able to burn down both Leona and Lucian's right there. That enables them to just shove in on this turret. They're going to get some extra damage.
All right, well, the push, of course, still coming in. Amin still showing up to this bottom lane. He is not leaving his teammate's side down here. Freeze just killing off some minions. Nothing too special from this one. The laners themselves are fine. It's just the fact that the junglers have had a really big impact. And 0-0 is still just really getting ahead of Mozilla. They're going to fight again. And I just feel like it's going to get worse and worse for this poor Trundle, who, if you only remove 20 attack damage, your opponents are adding more to that. It just kind of means less and less.
He does look like he's not afraid of full engaging here, though. He's trapped 0-0 with the pillar.
Actually, yeah, both these guys trading ultis, and Mozilla actually in the lead right now. 0-0, uh-oh. He pops the Ignite and dashes back in. One more attack will seal the deal. Mozilla goes down. Looks like 0-0 still well in control of this lane.
He's got his Tiamat plus the giant chainmail right there, doing a lot for him in that brawl, and keeping his calm about him, able to re-engage, plus use the Ignite there at the end.
Really, really good play. Good baiting, the late Ignite, all that wonderful stuff. Nukeduck still in a happy place in this mid lane. Only 3 CS up, and all right, there we go. 6 minutes this ward lasted before Amin saw it, but definitely worth more than the green one would have been at that point. The thing I wanted to point out, though, about this mid lane matchup is that Nukeduck, right, normally in LeBlanc you rush a Deathfire Grasp, maybe a Death Cap, but usually DFG. And he's been forced to actually go for an early Seeker's Arm Guard, significantly lowering his early damage output before he goes into Bursty.
Yeah, he did survive that all-in from Zed before, though, and so it is definitely paying off. He's looking to not die in this matchup, and he's staying even on CS. Plus, neither of them has really gotten off a good roam yet, so definitely pretty much is still a toss-up here in the mid lane.
And of course the bottom lane also pretty equal. Both these guys sitting on actually almost identical items down the board. The only difference being that Six has boots because he killed some enemy champions so far. SKP sweeps out another pink ward down at the tri-brush there. Theirs in the back of their brush still alive. So NIP has never gotten the chance to push this lane out at all.
Yeah, down bottom, they are just holding their own here. Both supports, you can note, also are going for the coin, so they're going to be looking to get the speed boost for their team later. And 0-0, true to form, as we said, he takes the lead up top, roams down, and they're going to go for the early objective here, Dragon 13 minutes.
There's no teleport from Mozilla. SKP's bottom lane is pushed back, but looks like there's still a little bit around here. LeBlanc's going to move first, though. NIP completely in control here. Good roam. Amin secures the Dragon.
Not only did 0-0 shove the lane in far enough to get down to Dragon, but he's going to be able to get back up to that top turret before there's really any answer from Trundle. It was just a huge, huge win there by 0-0.
He'll miss maybe like 2 minions, like 1 melee in the cannon before he gets into this one. Good play by 0-0, and NIP actually back into the lead here, 1,600 gold 14 minutes in. We'd seen some sketchy things in the bottom lane. Six and Ginsu really made a lot of things happen and made Amin's life miserable. But at the same time, we're seeing things really come back here for NIP. Ginsu's still trying to make moves. And I'm kind of wondering, like, what SKP has now in store for them. Their AD carries are pretty equal. Exila's not doing all that much just yet. Maybe a small lead in mid lane now, but nothing's happened for them in a while. NIP is the one making moves.
And Shyvana's not really the type of jungler that's going to be able to make that huge game-changing play when there's no dragon up. You know, her ganks are a little bit lackluster. So I'm going to keep my eyes on the Zed. I think that a good roam from Zed might be able to turn the tides in their favor here. If he can get down to bottom lane, maybe kill some of the squishies. He could even go for 0-0 because, as we said before, the early Tiamat, you know, it provides him a lot of pushing power, but it's not defensive stats, and he hasn't completed the Sunfire quite yet.
He hasn't still, but looks like he's got maybe a Shyvana coming around. No, 0-0 just chilling with good ward coverage, actually. One in the Wraith Brush, one near the red buff, so we can see if someone ever comes in here. And Zero's just kind of tooling that lane around. He's up almost 30, more than 30 minions now. Just very, very far ahead. Sunfire Cape, jeez, just so much here. But SKP are winning this bottom lane, I guess, because this turret is starting to take damage. This is where the only lead I'm really seeing is coming from.
You're right. You know, 0-0, talking about that early Sunfire Cape, this is the new patch where the damage on it has been reduced at earlier levels. So it is only going to do maybe 36 per second instead of the usual 40 there.
Yeah.
And it'll even out at level 15, though, so he's only got a couple more levels to go before it reaches the same old damage. But meanwhile, like you talked about, the Jinx also holding her own in that bottom. And she's a late game sort of hyper carry here.
Yeah.
If they aren't able to shut down the Jinx, then they still have that in their back pockets.
Well, Nukeduck, it might just be on you then if it gets to this, because you're the only guy likely to even reach him. Still, this top lane, very good for NIP. This bottom lane really holding standard. And we haven't seen moves now from the junglers in some time. Shyvana not been trying to gank, just been circle farming. 79 minions, a pretty good score. But a very similar thing here for Amin on Lee Sin, who also still hasn't finished Ancient Golem. He's like sidetracked for a bunch of other items so far.
Yeah, I think he's going to get a Sightstone upgrade next there. Pretty important with Lee Sin's kit. Nukeduck has not tried to roam a lot either because he's been pressured by that Zed. So both of the champions here on SKP that or on NIP that we expect the game-changing plays to come from haven't been very mobile.
Unfortunately not. So here it's just really Nukeduck holding still, not getting much done, unfortunately. A bit of a slower game, I suppose, here. A sitting duck, I guess you could call him here, because he's really not doing much. Minions chilling around. Oh, actually, the play comes in from Zoro0. He is still the playmaker, but Exila is going to make his way out. Oh my gosh, jumps back in for more damage and does survive with about 20 HP. Zoro0 burning his ulti and flash and ignite. And not, unfortunately, for NIP getting much out of this, except maybe a bit of control over mid.
Yeah, it is just going to be a 4-man game here with both the Zed as well as the Renekton being forced back, and no real objective can be taken because it was a pretty even trade there. Yeah. All summoners and the ultimates being burned on both members. We're really playing the waiting game here for the next dragon to pop back up. So, you know, another almost 2 minutes before an objective that they're really going to have to commit to. Until then, Zoro0 probably will return to keeping his ward coverage up in this top lane and trying to draw resources up to him. He's been making plays in the mid lane, but if he can just draw more attention of SKP up to that top lane, then maybe they can open up the rest of the map for Nukeduck to take advantage of his burst power that he does have with LeBlanc, because even though he's going for that Zanya's, there's a lot of ability power there on that Neasly Large Rod.
And right now, though, it looks like the map is still closed because SKP still has Ginsu around here. Can Six land the dash? He's going to try to get some more damage in there. There we go. Freeze getting pulled in, and he's going to go down right away. Well played, SKP. They saw the entire rest of the team and just forced it.
Very good combo right there. And the Thresh right here definitely deserves a lot of the credit getting off these ganks for Shyvana. Even though there's a ward in the side bush, we're able to land that hook and secure the kill.
All right, well, these guys are going to keep moving forward. That's the first turret for this team here. For Zoro0 to push the top one a while ago, but they're going to continue to snowball this lane. No one even moved down to defend this. Everyone else been stuck in the mid lane, so SKP getting 2 turrets for that champion kill as well. So that's going to equalize the gold completely right here. We're going to watch that fight again.
All right, so starting off with the Flay, it was a good move by Lucian to use his dash after that, removing the slow, but he barely is not able to reach the minion line. You can see he was running towards that first melee minion to hope that it would block the hook, but not able to get around it, and even though he pops his barriers, more than enough damage there since Shyvana is able to use her Dragon's Descent.
And here we go, SK Prime regrouping just in time for the Dragon. It's respawning right now. And it looks like they're going to be able to start this one out pretty easily. Both top laners roaming down. Nip wants to challenge this right here. We'll see if they can do this. Of course, Mithy.
Trundle's pretty far off here.
Well, Alma's going to go in for it, though. Does he have the damage? No, it's going to be smited away by Shyvana, kicked into the wall, and she's going to jump over as a dragon. And it's going to be a dragon pickup for no real cost here. SKP, good job.
Wow, he gets a free ticket out of there. Doesn't even have to burn his flash.
Yeah. Very nicely done. Zoro0 unfortunately left the top lane, didn't get anything for it, but he is still completely dominating his lane matchup. Now 45 minions in the lead, in addition to that kill and assist. I mean, if I see one gun NIP doing well, it has to be Zoro0 here to carry.
He is continuing to do his job in the top lane. But also down bottom, you know, Freeze is not doing too shabby. He doesn't even have boots yet because he's trying to rush that Trinity Force after his Bloodthirster. It actually will help him take down this turret really quickly because of the Sheen damage and fully stacked Bloodthirster.
Oh, good stuff there. It's going to be at least one more turret equalized, making it 2-2, but the turrets that SKP have killed are worth a little bit more. Those tier 2 turrets worth about 750, I believe, if I have my numbers right. Whereas the outer turrets are 650 overall. So, small lead here. Again, Nukeduck just treading water. We have not seen these guys been able to do almost anything out of the mid lane except kill minions over and over and over again. Blue buff onto Exila, and NIP going to fully roam up to this mid lane right here, and they're going to be not unanswered, but they're certainly outnumbering the opposition. Zoro coming by as well.
It seems like SKP are just sort of playing completely reactively here. Their bottom turret goes down, so the next objective for NIP is definitely going to be the mid. That's the only outer turret left standing. But again, they send their duo lane back bottom to farm that extra wave, and it did cost them a lot of damage on that mid turret.
And look at this rinse and repeat from Zoro. He kills up the top lane wave and runs all the way back down to join his team because there's no threat of him losing minions or a turret, anything. But he doesn't actually go for any playmaking down here. Instead, he just looks for a rotate, doesn't find one, and they send Nuke Duck to just farm the bottom lane.
Oh, he goes back for the golem, though, and he does get the big one.
Nice job, Zoro taking those two. A little bit of deny, nice stuff, but it's you're seeing NIP kind of shift the resources around. So Freeze is going to hold the mid lane with Mithy and Amin, and it's Nuke Duck who's just farming away in this bottom lane right here, getting much of gold and being an individual threat. And maybe the jump in onto Amin. A lot of bursts coming across, and goodbye, 6. Steals another kill, 3-0 and 1. That Thresh going to be big this
He
game.
is deserving of those kills, too. He's doing everything that he can right now to get his team ahead. And that hook right there is going to guarantee the objective.
There we go, 3-0 and 1. Every single kill has come in part to Amin, to Ginsu and 6 right here. You're seeing Mozilla again getting jumped on. Zoro. Still, I gotta say, the leader of this matchup. He's only getting stronger with the Ninja Tabby done as well. Zoro making sure that nothing threatens his top lane turret.
Now, when we do get to the team fight, the large 5 vs 5 here, it looks like SKP are going to continue to rely on those hooks from 6. And they're going to have the Trundle ultimate as well. So even if he hooks in Zoro or one of these frontline members, he can actually shred the tanks very well with this lineup. So Trundle and Shyvana don't necessarily have to dive to the backlines. Wow, good hook.
Mithy getting pulled in, flayed back as well, but with the shield on, he's going to be all right. There we go, the dive back in from Shyvana. Nuke Duck forced to run away, very low in health. Lee Sin-Kic's going to keep his team alive. A lot of spells burn, no one yet going down.
Yeah, this time around, kicking Shyvana out. Good idea. They want to reset this and buy time for Zoro to roam.
Oh! Mithy, that was unfortunate.
Well, that was just a dang good shot there.
Yeah, it was.
By Jinx, deserving of the kill. Zoro knows that he has no backup, so he has to retreat.
Yeah, not completely, but sort of semi-circle surrounded here by SKP, forced to run to the left. Looks like red buff will go to Vanillin here. NIP have unfortunately not found much to do. They've tried to make this mid lane roam happen, but they're not getting much for it. Unfortunately getting picked off once in a while by 6's Thresh. So 5-2-1 kills, SKP even up a turret as well. I mean, this is a good thing for the new upstarts here.
Yeah, I mean, really the plays over and over from the Thresh are what's keeping them up there and actually in the lead for this game. The only problem that they do have to worry about is Zoro coming down once again repeatedly.
Yeah.
The same old pattern. I think they've gotten used to it, and they've actually warded up 3 wards in their red side jungle, so it's a good little adjustment there. But he's still a threat, and you have to respect that roam.
Well, speaking of respect, Exiled is going in hard, but still getting caught up there. He's going to go down, trying to force down Nuke Duck, and doesn't get much for it. Shyvana shows up. That's going to be Ginsu trying to get there. Mozilla going to put the trophy down to chase on. Zoro forced to flash away. No health left on him, but already kills getting traded back and forth. Top lane is going to down. Mozilla still on the chase there, chained up, though, by Nuke Duck. The ulti coming in, flashed away. Nuke Duck might just live. 2 more shots to go. Can he get in range? The Zap's going to pick it up. Vanillin still on the chase. No hook's going to land. Mithy forced to run away still. And that is a fight that SKP goes 2 for 2 in.
That's only going to be a 2-for-2 trade, but SKP are the ones with control of the map now, so they can go clear out these minion waves, and they'll get some extra gold, whereas NIP have to all retreat. So, classic right here. We started off again with another beautiful hook, but they didn't respect the Zoro roam. We saw him come down with those 3 wards in the red side, and he's a giant crocodile. Too hard to click the lantern, so Zed trying to use his shadow to get away barely doesn't get out. Shyvana is able to keep him in here, though. Right almost into turret range, and the box slow. He ults him right into that box slow, then the Thresh flay as soon as he gets out of range of this. Here comes Trundle. He's actually going to get in range here. I think he pops his ulti was already popped, and it slowly drained down Zoro for the kill. This chase is the really exciting part, though, because Jinx has red buff. And even though he's using the ulti and then flash for the auto attack, The extra flash for the auto attack is able to keep this red slow on Nukeduck. And he shoots one more rocket at the clone, then immediately zaps. So killing the clone so that his zap will get the full range and secure the kill on the Nukeduck right there is the only reason they are able to answer with the second kill.
Very nicely played here as Vanillan 3-0-3, having a pretty good game for himself. Slower landing phase, but now that team fights have started, he's had a pretty good time of this one. NIP still trying to be the team that is aggressive. Dragon is up. A little bit of ward control here for both sides. NIP having just a couple more on the left-hand side, but SKP sees the Dragon itself.
Another thing to note is that 0-0, with all of the lead that he's been able to accrue, has built only armor here. It's just full armor tank. So the slow burns there of the magic damage from the front line here of SKP will really have a huge effect on him. It's just going to be the Jinx and Zed that he's mostly built against.
Here these guys go. There's going to be a turret taking damage. It's going to go down. NIP popping the Ascension to get out. Six did the same thing, but no catch going to be here. So NIP trading second tier turret for that Dragon, keeping the gold only about 2,000 apart. SK Prime going to look back for the mid lane. They're going to force a fight there. NIP has to commit from the left if they want to at all, but Ginsu is there to hold on to the advance. And you're seeing NIP a little bit gun-shy here.
I really liked that move from NIP because they did not want to fight another straight up 5 versus 5. 0-0 actually getting a little bit too close here. He gets slowed from the Blade of the Ruined King.
And zapped as well. The chase still on. Everyone is there. This is a 5v1, but 0-0 just wants to get away with the Randuin's Omen. He does that successfully, actually. The rest of NIP here to save him.
The map movement before that, though, where they were able to rotate to take a secondary turret for the Dragon, was a good choice since they don't want to full-on fight this team. Now ultimates were down from both Renekton and Shyvana. Still a pretty decent matchup here.
And the fight's still going to continue there. Onto the turret, pull onto Amin. That leads in not in a good spot right there. The fight is in. Exila goes in the back line. Amin goes down to the rocket. It's going to be the chase still. The trade back, though, onto Zed. 4v4 here. SKP still want the fight. Mythic gets caught. He's going to land a Solar Flare on the 2. And now here comes Freeze to avenge his lane mate. 6 will go down. That's another one picked up there, but it's a 3-for-2 overall. SKP winning that fight again.
This is going to be 3 members for 2, but you can see SKP retreating because the 2 surviving members on NIP are the damage dealers, and you have to respect a double buff Lucian with the combo of Trinity Force plus Bloodthirster. He's going to chase you down and kill you!
Goodbye, Ginsu.
And secured right there. They even it up for 3 each.
So good catch, and now because that respawn's so late, it's going to make things pretty difficult for SKP.
Now let's take a look at this once again, because it's the hook into the box and Flame Chompers, but since Lee Sin's so slippery, he safeguards out. This is an overextension by Exila. He goes after Nukeduck with everything he has, but he's under turret and gets obliterated. Even though they are 1 man down here, though, 6 is still chasing Mithy, and he's able to lantern in Vanilla. And wow, that was just such a long-range, beautiful lantern right there for the kill. Does end up costing him, but on the off-screen kill, we didn't get to see before. 0-0 was taken down once again by Trundle. We can see in the late game that Trundle ultimate doing everything that it needs to melt through the extra armor and burn him down.
Yeah, it's worth mentioning that even though 0-0 built up a 60 minion kill lead and has more items than Mozilla, you're seeing that Trundle play really well in team fights and completely kind of get out of the landing phase successfully. The other thing to point out is Freeze got the 500 shutdown gold by killing 6. The Thresh who got all those kills for his team. That's a whole bunch of gold money that just got picked up here, which is going to help NIP's AD carry a little bit here.
The thing is, Nukeduck did not actually go for the Zhonya's completion. He used his needlessly large rod for a Deathfire Grass instead. And since now he's got the Void Staff and Deathfire Grass combo, you have to be worried for your Jinx. Your Jinx is going to be able to get 100% bursted, 100% if she's caught out anywhere on the map. So now you really need to concentrate on that ward control to keep track of that roaming LeBlanc.
It's a really good late game sort of save me plan. It's like, by the way, Nukeduck can one-shot any of you, so be more mindful. And even though Exila has been focusing Nukeduck, we've seen time and again that he's been outplaying the fights. Nukeduck hasn't really been going down, despite repeatedly being targeted by Exila.
I also want to point out how Trundle sort of changes the current meta of team fights. Right now, it's very much focused on the frontline diving your opponent's backline, and it's a contest between, which one has the tanks that will last longer. But when you have Trundle, you'll add him into the mix. he basically will melt one of your tanks with his ultimate, and all you have to do is focus everything on that single target. You can burn him down very quickly, and he uses the pillar to zone out the damage of the opponents for as long as he can. Just even a couple seconds of Freeze or Nuke Duck getting pillared back and having to wade their way through the muck means a whole bunch of extra damage that your team is not taking, and you can use that to burn down either Zoro or Mithy.
We've seen that.
Meanwhile, Exila, he's in a dangerous spot.
Oh, good juke. Dodges the chains, but is still on the backside. NIP taking their time with this one. Nuke Duck doesn't want to get jumped on.
He's got nowhere to go here.
Yeah, but he's waiting for his jump to not get killed by Exila into the brush. And the team actually is coming for both sides here. Stun onto the Zed. Still running, but looks like NIP are here first. He's going to jump in. Nuke Duck's going to try to run away from this one. Exile still getting chased. He's going to flash away, and SKP are here now. 0-0 forced back. The cavalry has arrived. Amin still running. Mithy actually only Freeze is still missing from this fight, so it's 5v4. Vanillin does not go down. Nuke Duck does not have any places to go. Zoro Zero's going to show up. It's going to be a trade kill. Mid laner for AD carry, and Freeze has joined the fight finally, but NIP forced to run away. Mozilla is just man-moding the entire lineup right now. Mithy's stuck. Flayed backwards, goes down 2 for 1. Can Mozilla get another trophy down? Can he get the chase onto Freeze? Slow as there, he's going to dash over it though. Just the 2 for 1.
And Exila survived the whole thing. Him being caught out there and saving all of his cooldowns was what you were talking about. Nuke Duck was playing very cautiously, did not want to get 100% bursts. They were treating that Zed as a very dangerous animal, and only Zoro Zero was willing to touch him. Two members being down to only 1 though means SKP immediately turn their attention towards Baron and get it uncontested.
A beautiful pickup right here, and that's going to be a big lead. SK Prime up 4,600 gold right here. You can watch this fight again. Nuke Duck does not kill Vanillin.
Now this was the second phase of the fight where most of NIP had been able to retreat under the turret, but Nuke Duck wanted to pull off a bush gank here and burst down the AD carry. Even though they finally finished off the AD carry, the rest of the team had to pay for Nuke Duck's commitment here, and with them all getting this low, that's really what caused SKP to get the Baron right after.
You can see there, it's Mithy going down, and we actually, you mentioned Zoro Zero having his full armor build. We saw him get away with like no health left right there. And you can see Thornmail, Sunfire Cape, Randuin's Omen, Ninja Tabby. The guy is trying not to take physical damage here. The only difficulty being that Mozilla's ulti, percent health damage, magic damage.
As well as the double Sunfires from Shyvana and Trundle. And they're basically, like I said, killing tanks. So they're going to be the ones that are on Zoro Zero for the team fight phase. But 2-versus-1 situation here. Maybe he'll have the advantage. Whoop, never mind. Zoro Zero Nuke Duck disappears.
Mozilla steals all his stats, and that's going to make things pretty bad for that actually fairly small Crocodile overall. Looks like 6, they're going to jump in onto Amin. Amin's trying to get away from this one, flashes, but brings Exila in with him. He's going to go down. Goodbye to Lee Sin. SK Prime completely in control now.
NIP continue to the same strategy that they had before, invading on the red side and trying to pressure up the mid and top lanes, but their ward coverage is insufficient for this. There's 2 pinks here from SKP that are doing a lot of work, and again, another amazing hook from 6 is able to land them a kill.
He's landed more than a few of those right there, 4, 1, and 8 on him, and they're going to be pushing on now onto this inhibitor turret, I should say, in the brief 5v4. Looks like turret's a little bit too much for him just now, but they have another minion wave coming in soon.
With the Baron buff regen too, they are feeling just fine about this. Lee Sin about to pop up, so he may be able to reach this fight in time. He's got home guards. This will be a 5-on-5. The only problem is it's going to be a Baroned up SKP, and they also have the advantage of the poke from Jinx. Like, she can just continually rocket in and spam zaps. There's not that much regen here for NIP. He's able to land those zaps onto someone like Nuke Duck.
Yeah, so they're going to have to be pretty careful about this one. Death Cap not yet done for Nuke Duck. I feel like that might be enough items that he can one-shot the Jinx, but we saw his combo before, and it couldn't get past the barrier of Vanillin. He needed a lot more backup there. So still continue to track Nuke Duck, as Vanillin has, among the most gold in his team, certainly a very big factor in these fights. 3.5 item AD carry. But going towards what looks like a Banshee's Veil now is going to make that very difficult for Nuke Duck.
It's definitely the best buy against the LeBlanc. Being able to block just one of her spells and interrupt the disrupt the combo that she's trying to pull off is exactly what you need to save her life, and he won't have to rely on that barrier.
Zoro walking into a trap. Gonna dash over the wall. He will be maybe okay. Nope, not gonna be okay at all. Rocket's not gonna land, but the chase is still on. Can Ginsu land much else? Zap lands on a nuke duck, but he can dash the wall. But just a 1 for 0 in the tank. The tankiest member of NIP goes down in a heartbeat.
Yeah, all the shred right there. They didn't even have to use the Trundle ultimate to be able to get through that. Double Blade of the Ruined Kings coming down, and now Baroned Up team versus 4. Easy march towards that inhibitor.
Okay, so turret number 2 on this lane going down. SK Prime 6 to 4 in turret kills. Ninjas in pajamas on the back foot right now. Inside their base, 20 seconds still on Zoro. SK Prime not showing signs of slowing down. Not a whole ton of damage from the cooling right there. This is going to be another turret. Inhibitor turret number 1 has fallen top lane. Inhibitor going to be falling right now, and will SK Prime backdoor? Will they just retreat back to the jungle? Looks like it's going to be the latter.
This is very, very difficult for NIP. I mean, this game has just been pick after pick after pick. We have not had solid engages really from either team. It's always someone getting caught out of position, and neither team really looking to remedy that situation. The ward coverage very sparse here from NIP. It's really SKP that's been pretty much setting up all of these opportunities and then easily capitalizing on them. I mean, 6 has just been on point.
Oh yeah, there have been so many picks you'd think it was a Lulu mirror in one for all. SKP finding kills every once in a while and turning that, and a third Blade of the Ruined King. I mean, they really want to do this percentile physical damage there. SK Prime, I mean, just ready to go in this one. They're all adding MR. You're seeing 4 Spectre Cowls, 3 Blade of the Ruined Kings. These guys know, okay, don't get one shot by LeBlanc, and go crush tanks with your auto attacks. Like, I feel like SK Prime has all the tools they need just in items to just walk forward in a team fight and win it.
I love playing against a LeBlanc when your entire team's got Banshee's Veils. It's so hard for her to pop those bubbles. There's just too many going on. She has no target to choose from. It's going to be very hard for NIP to battle back from this. They're going to have to really rely on Freeze's Lucian to put out constant damage and will them down, because Zoro has also been having a tough time staying alive. Like you said, with all the Blade of the Ruined Kings plus the Trundle ultimate, there's just so much that can take him down easily.
And he's going to go for, looks like a Warmog's armor for his next item here, Zoro. I guess his last major item here. Another Giant's Belt, even more health than that guy. Jinx ready to go for the damage output though. Dragon in 40, Baron in 115, but SKP still happy to siege without the Baron buff on them. They are the more powerful team. 8,000 gold lead here. Shield comes across, turret still taking damage. Those do regen, but slowly.
So,
SKP.
yeah, and you can see the strategy here for SKP is very easy to execute. They've got the tanks on the front line that can bully this NIP roster back from the turret, allowing Jinx to use her rockets. 3 rockets was all it took to take down 20% of that turret's HP. So every wave, they're going to get another couple rockets in.
And a pull into Mithy. More rockets coming across. The minions certainly die very fast. SKP not trying to push it too hard. They know there's... Oh my god, goodbye to Ginsu. And this might be the push they want. Is going to knock in Exila. Exila likely to go down here. Yes, he does take the damage. Double kill for Nuke Duck. 1 traded back though. Jinx got excited. Is that going to be enough now for SK Prime? 3v4 and they are chasing in. Turret goes down. Zoro shows up though. Is that going to be enough to turn this fight around? Again, 4 versus 3 for NIP. Chompers go down, keeping him safe. Mozilla forced back. Nuke Duck making a big way in. Zoro now. Not in the best spot right there, but Mozilla even worse. Another kill picked up. 3 for 1 in this battle. NIP turning things around.
SKP was able to get down the inhibitor turret, though. That's 2 inhibitor turrets down. They do have to run for their lives, and Baron is up at this moment. So NIP have to be very careful with what they do with the health bars that they have to them. They could make a rush at Baron and try and get the ward control over that area set up, because that's really important at this time. Now, let's look at the burst here from Nuke Duck, because he has changed his strategy. Since the Jinx is building a Banshee's Veil, I might as well just go to the front line here. It's much easier to get to, and I can get my full combo off. At that point, SKP have to commit. So they fight this anyway, and they try and get the burst down. Even though Zed's able to get off his ulti in the AoE, they weren't able to come out ahead here because it's still a 4 members versus 3.
Man, and goodbye. And just to speak of it, by the way, Ginsu was actually the one guy who didn't have a Banshees yet. He was actually chilling without the Spectre's Cowl. And so
well, they're not, yeah, nobody's completed it, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it was 4 Spectre's Cowls. He was the only guy without one.
Yeah, exactly.
So no MR itemization. Till now, Banshee's now done. Ginsu learned his lesson. Maybe a little bit too late, but we'll see. The inhibitors have respawned. Now 2 are bare. the top and mid inhibitors have no turrets in front of them, but NAP have stopped having super minions flood into their base. Blue Wave going to be here for Nuke Duck. He's still being pretty happy. You've got 3 major offensive items done for him, so he's finally starting to be useful in these fights. Exila not finding much to do for himself, though, on Zed. And the AD carries continuing to get scarier and scarier in this game.
So we've got 2 targets off the table for Nuke Duck. Unless they're able to pop those Banshee's Veil early, then he won't be able to 100% burst, and we won't have the exact same story as we saw last game.
Ginsu actually sold his Blade of the Ruin King to buy that.
Well, he just had a very painful awakening to how this game is working.
I've never seen someone sell a tier 3 item to be like, you know what, I was wrong here. Let me build defense like I was supposed to in the first place. And IP feeling a little bit more confident. 4,000 gold. I feel like I've said that number a few times. Just 4,000 gold still separating these teams. NIP did get a dragon to capitalize off their previous team fight win. Nuke Duck stood an award.
He saw it and
doesn't
he
want to kill
it. That's the other great thing about those pink wards, taking 5 hits. Even if they do walk by them, they're all visible. It takes way too long to clear that out. It's very dangerous at this point in the game.
And SKP still the aggressor.
Another hook.
Okay, not too much on a Mythy. He's safe. A little bit of time until that Eclipse comes back up, though.
All right, so again, waiting for this team fight to break out. Of course, we're all looking for what Nuke Duck's target will be, because that's where the surprise came from NIP last time around.
Okay, early damage from Lucian. Colin coming across. Ulti's going to land onto 2. The dive is going to come on in. Who's going to take the damage with their Ginsu? Going to take a bunch of bursts and go down. Exila chasing down Nuke Duck, who might fall afterwards. But the damage still coming across. Nuke Duck is going to live. 1 for 1 so far. Jinx got excited. Exila stuck on the wrong side of the map, but Vanillin is into this fight. Can he go down here? Mythy very aggressive. They're going to target him super hard. Freeze trying to make it happen, but it's going to be a kill from the Jinx on to Leona. Amon going to knock back everybody else and keep his AD carry alive. Nuke Duck back into the fray. Mozilla will go down. Now Freeze in a fight with Vanillin. Does not want this battle, though. It's going to be a 3-4-2 overall with Freeze no health. But SKP is going to leave this fight with an inhibitor kill.
I think it's time for Nuke Duck to upgrade those home guard boots. If he could get back out there quick enough, they could grab one more. But man, you saw the difference right there. Zoro Zero going down so quickly because they have so many answers for this tank, while Mozilla lasted till almost the very end.
And that is with only 2 completed tank items so far. He's still going in. Spectre's Cowl plus a new Negatron Cloak. Mozilla really wants Magic Resist. That's going to free up Freeze to do a bit more damage in these fights with no one building armor. The ward's getting swept out, and NIP going for their own Baron here.
There are home guards on Shyvana. No way, they're bursting it down way too quick here. Nip definitely going for the all-in. Very dangerous to even check it.
Well, Jinx does reveal it briefly with her zap. She's going to pop the ulti. Does not do enough damage. Blue team picks up Baron Nashor. Amon, unfortunately, not a guy who's hitting many smites, but the Baron buff still does go to NIP.
Hey man, they got it anyway. All right, so let's take another look at that. A beautiful engage from Mythy here with the Leona ultimate. Now we're keeping our eyes on Nuke Duck as he bursts down the closest target, but immediately runs when Exila jumps on him. And Zed not being able to land that Q and not being able to finish off Nuke Duck means that Nuke Duck was able to come back towards the end of the fight. He jukes back to the rest of his team, and Exila, once again, this is pretty much has been the story for all the team fights. He finds himself on the wrong side of the team fight, and the rest of his team is in between 2 turrets here, which makes them peel for Jinx, but Jinx got so low that she actually doesn't want to fight anymore and just works on the inhibitor, while Mozilla now getting burst down by the Nuke Duck that was not able to finish him off. Boom comes in to clip him, and the Ignite will finish him off.
Nice.
Or the Chain Explosion.
Yeah, Chain Explosion does it. Freeze forced back. One more crit, he would have died. Wouldn't have won that fight, so a wise way to disengage. Kill score pretty close, 14-17. Gold lead, only 3.5K now. SK Prime looking for the top lane this time. Still the team that feels like the one with the advantage. Problem is, NIP is wearing a Baron buff here, and SKP still wants to fight.
SKP are wearing 4 Banshee's Veils now, and 1 that just needs to be completed with a recipe. They're so close to it. And they're just pressing the advantage even with Baron buff here, but those are their 2 main engage tools. Pillar and Hook have been used.
We'll see what they get out of this one. Mozilla taking a couple hundred damage.
Great using of the culling to pop Banshee's Veils.
They're going to move on into the get much. No! Oh, there's the Leona ulti. 2 slows right there, but not enough. Mikhail's Crucible used to remove the slow from Exila.
And both teams having the upgraded Talisman of Ascensions there pretty much negate each other because they're running at the exact same speeds, both being used. Nobody does end up getting caught, and they're waiting for the Banshee's Veil's cooldowns to come back up here because those will be back quicker than the culling.
Yeah, they're pretty short cooldowns, but they get reset by getting, I believe, damaged by enemy champions. So if they take damage again, they're going to lose the spell shields again, and you're seeing actually Ginsu cannot get his Banshees back up. Cooldown constantly reset, and he was the target a couple of times so far. Almond in the front line. Pull's not going to land. SKP still sieging this turret, though. This is going to be a dead inhibitor soon, but the fight's going to start. Almond trying to force them back. The inhib does fall down. Kicks back to Vanilla, but the team's not there for him. They're all in the background, and poor Lee Sin is getting chunked down. He's going to fall finally, and we're seeing SKP get a free kill of this one. 0-0 in the back line, still trying to chase. He's going to go down as well.
I love what Mozilla did this time. He reduced Freeze's attack damage by biting him and then zoned out Zoro-Zero. As soon as Zoro-Zero tried to pull off the combo, he flashes away. And the Ard Q from LeBlanc did not get popped because Mozilla flashed it out.
Wow, wonderful stuff here. The kill's going to come off onto Shyvana, but it's going to be a trade back onto Mithy right there. So far, 4 members alive versus only 2 of NIP. 2 inhibitors down again, and SKP still looking to push this one in. Exila a little bit low, but might be safe. Bottom lane is going to have some minions in the front, and they're going to go for this turret as well right here. You're seeing this drop so quickly. 9 turrets are dead. 3 inhibitors about to fall as well. SK Prime looking so good in this game, but forced to back off, I think, right here.
They've got all 3 inhibitors down, though. If they return to their base to heal up, then when they make their next way down to the NIP base, they can have 3 waves of super minions there to help them out, and that will be what they want to look for in the Nexus turrets.
Here we go. Home guard's picked up just because SKP wants to not lose any time. Exala going to make his way out here. The whole team, a lot of magic resist. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Banshees, Veils in these guys. Ready to deal with Nuke Ducks. Blind pick LeBlanc, 5, 2, and 6, a good performance, but SKP look ready for it. The AD carries. Vanillin has already sold boots for a Zephyr, nothing else to buy for this Jinx. Very similar scenario for Freeze, still has Berserker's Greaves, but a lot of damage still there as well.
Now I think what NIP should look for in their defense of the Alamo that's about to come up should be very early culling from Freeze to get off as many of those Banshee's Veils as he can, like he pulled in the first fight there. If he can get at least 3 or 4 of those down, then it'll be a huge win for them, because Nuke Duck then can turn his sights towards just blowing up one of the tanks. That actually worked fairly well for them. As long as the Banshee's Veil is down on that front line, then he can take a huge chunk out. The problem has been when Nuke Duck has been trying to get to that back line and he gets chunked out.
One Banshee's Veil is gone. Zoro-Zero taking damage to the front line. There's the culling, gets rid of another Banshee's off from the Jinx. Could be a target right here. Damage coming across. Ginsu taking some damage. A flash used by Nuke Duck, but not getting much out of it. The fight has begun. Exila on the bottom side, caught by Mithy. 1 kill picked up. Nuke Duck does go down, and Vanillin has all the time in the world. Kicked back by Lee Sin, but kills coming across everywhere with Zoro-Zero going down. 4v3, and SKP on to the Nexus right now. They're going to be 1 game up against Ninjas in Pajamas on their way to the top 4 challenger.
Surprising victory once again. The NIP roster drops the first game in this best of 3. This is a best of 3, though. They do have another chance here. 1 more game coming up right now.
This is going to be pretty incredible, guys. SK Gaming Prime showing up out of the rank 5's ladder. Pretty good run so far through the bracket, and now 1-0 against Ninjas in Pajamas. These guys, I mean, it's getting intense for these guys. Like, just think about the NIP story. They picked up so many top players. They grabbed a lot of the old Lemon Dogs roster, got themselves a good lineup, and have been losing over and over in a row. They've got to turn it back, and we're going to see if they can do that. We've got to take a quick break, but when you return, SK Gaming Prime looks to make it 2 in a row and knock the Ninjas in Pajamas out of the first Challenger Series. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.